Welcome to another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Final episode of 2015. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week so far, joining us live from Trinidad. What You Need, joining us live from Taiwan. Sean Newton, joining us live from NY. Daniel Carpio. Hopefully we'll have some guests joining us later on in the show. For those who are new to Pound for Pound Boxing Report, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show slash podcast slash blog that discusses all things boxing. If you want to find out more about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, just go to the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. Let me repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. On the blog page, you will find links to where to find us all over social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, G+, Pinterest, the RSS feed. Find us on Stitcher Radio, Flipboard Magazine, the email for the show. If you want to email us, just go to p4pboxingrpt@gmail.com. Leave a message there, what you like about the show and what we can improve on the show. Also, links to find past episodes on Podomatic. And new, we're on SoundCloud now. And finally, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is on iTunes. So just go to iTunes, just do a search Pound for Pound Boxing Report, P-O-U-N-D, the number 4, P-O-U-N-D Boxing Report. You can find us on iTunes. Let's get the show started, fellas, by doing a recap of what went down this past week. Big bout, of course, is the grudge match between Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, highly anticipated, took place last Saturday in London. Very exciting fight. Joshua stopped Dillian Whyte in the 7th round. The big thing for this fight, about this fight, was that Dillian Whyte, we talked about last week, what would happen if Dillian Whyte was to catch Joshua with the power. Well, he did indeed catch Joshua with the power, hurt him badly towards the end of round 2, had him wobbly with a counter left hook that Joshua didn't see. Took a while for Joshua to recover back to the last part of round 2, and he basically took off round 3 to recover, but from round 4 on, in my opinion, he established the jab. He really started to get off with the combinations time. Dillian Whyte proved tough. He fought hard all the way, but you can see as the fight went on, Joshua, he had the better conditioning. He was the better overall fighter, the more skilled fighter. Catching Whyte with shots, you can tell Whyte was starting to feel the punches in round 6. Really, he got stopped in round 7. I'll go to you on this one. What you need, since we talked about it last week, we both said that this fight was not going to be as easy as folks thought it would. As folks thought coming in. Your analysis is what went down. Your impressions of the fight, and did this fight answer any questions about Anthony Joshua, or did it answer a lot of things for you about Anthony Joshua, or did it leave more questions in your mind?
Let me start with the last question. It didn't leave any questions in my mind about him. Now I think that this guy, he's proving to be more and more legitimate, in my opinion, than I thought he was, because we were all wondering what would happen if he got hit. And he got hit, he got buzzed. But what was interesting to me was that he was able to compose himself. I think in the first round he hurt Dillian Whyte, and in the second round Dillian Whyte came back and hurt him. So we saw that both heavyweights could get hurt, and I think composed himself, and he conducted himself quite well. I think he actually settled down at the end of round 3. So he also answered the question for me about stamina. Was this guy with all this muscle mass, if he could really go through later rounds? And it seems as though he could do that. So we still have to see how he progresses. But I think this guy is different, like I was saying in the discussion before, to Frank Bruno. That's my opinion on it. I think Frank Bruno, he was heavy muscled and so on, but I think Bruno didn't respond like how Joshua responded to punches. I think Bruno was kind of all over the place, but Joshua, I remember when what's his name, the heavyweight champion, WBC heavyweight champion right now, Deontay Wilder, when he got hit by and he also was buzzed a little bit. I'm trying to remember who it was, the name of the opponent, who Chris Arreola also faced. But I believe that it's just that he got buzzed. It's not so much that he was he was significantly hurt or anything. Meaning, when I say hurt, I mean damaged. You know, some people, when they get hurt, they bow over or they keel over. This guy wasn't keeling over. It was more like he got his equilibrium off for a minute, and he got back his equilibrium, and then he started fighting again. So that's what I saw with him and Deontay Wilder, and I think he's progressing really nicely. They need to move him along properly, and he should be fine. I was curious about what would happen if he got hit, and now we know he can take a hit. He actually took some punches in the third, I think, as well. Yeah, so he's pretty legit so far.
I'll go to you, Sean and Daniel. Your impressions of the fight. When I look at it,
too long. I think I'm taking too long. Okay.
the fight went pretty much the way I expected. I figured that Joshua would get caught with a shot or two from Dillian Whyte. But I liked how he recovered. Yeah, he got buzzed, but he gained his composure. And like I said, he really started to take control of the fight before he finished him off. So I'll go to Daniel, then you, Sean, and join us live as EJ Boxing Live. I would love your commentary as well.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
First you, Daniel, then Joshua. We're talking about Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. But first Daniel, then Sean, and then you can follow up, EJ.
Okay. This fight was actually pretty good. Like I said, a lot of people did think it was going to be a steamroll for Anthony Joshua. I think the betting line was that it was going to end in 3 rounds in a Joshua knockout. I'm glad it didn't, because it answered some questions regarding Joshua about getting hit, if he could sustain a good body attack, which he did from round 2, because people noticed in between rounds from round 2 to 3, Anthony Joshua was fighting to breathe a little bit because of the body shots that Dillian Whyte threw at him. And like I said, it was a pretty good fight, and it actually rated pretty well. I think in the UK, EJ may correct me, around 400,000 pay-per-view rights in the UK. Now, granted, like I said, well, UK pay-per-views, they're around, I think, $35, $40 US, but that's a lot of people still for what's technically considered a domestic fight in the UK. So that shows, first of all, the popularity of Anthony Joshua. It shows how many people want to back him. But the fight was it was really good. Joshua caught Whyte early in the first round, and it almost was over by that point. But Dillian Whyte recovered pretty well. Like I said, he did land some shots in the body, but it was just the advantages in skill and advantages in size that put Joshua over. He was just a little bit too big. He wasn't able to be in range for Whyte to get one of his shots again consistently enough to buzz him again. And that knockout was nice. Like, sustained with an uppercut, and you could tell as soon as Dillian Whyte went down, it was night-night. He was out. But, like I said, it was a good fight. It answered some questions, but it also told me that Anthony Joshua may not be ready yet for like a Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder and that caliber of fighters yet. Because the body attack shows me if you can land a sustainable attack to the body and land quick to the head, you can hurt Joshua. And Fury has great movement. Like I said, we've shown a Klitschko fight, great movement, and easy to avoid a guy similar size. And with Wilder, if Wilder commits to the body, all he needs to do is one shot of the right hand, and it might be over. But I'm glad that the fight was good.
Sean, and then you eat that.
Well, this fight is exactly what it was billed as. You know, a top-level domestic fight between 2 undefeated prospects. And, you know, lots of people predicted that Joshua was going to steamroll Dillian Whyte, which is almost exactly what happened. But this gives credit to Dillian Whyte as an opponent because he didn't come there to get steamrolled. He was able to bounce back, and he was able to make it an interesting fight. A lot of this also has to do with Joshua's immaturity as a boxer. The fact that after getting him hurt in the first round, he rushed in and exposed himself and got hurt himself in the second round. But it also shows that he's being brought along well because he was smart enough to be able to reestablish his boxing ability and then ended up doing what he needs to do to get Dillian Whyte out of there in impressive fashion. I think it's funny that people are so quick to, first of all, throw Joshua under the bus and say that, you know, he's overrated. And then secondly, to say that at this point he's not ready for Fury or Wilder. I mean, I don't think his people are getting ready to put him in a position to fight either one of those guys at this point. He's only fought 16 guys. His level of opposition has gradually improved, a lot better than, say, a guy like Wilder, who was like fed, you know, bums for like how many fights. You know, they're bringing him along well. And considering that he was on TV his first fight, there's been a lot of pressure for them to move him along fast. But I think Hearn so far has been smart enough to do what they needed to do. And of course, Joshua's people. So they're talking about maybe a fight with Chisora or somebody like that. You know, a big name, a guy on his way out, but a guy who will bring in similar tests and be able to, like, you know, see if he's able to progress to the level where people hope he is. At this point, I still think he's more Frank Bruno than Lennox Lewis. But that's not an insult. Frank Bruno was a top heavyweight, and he had a tough chin. You know, he wasn't a bum. I mean, he was stiff and a little plodding, but I mean, he had a great career, and especially he was the top fighter in the UK, and he did well internationally. He just wasn't able to reach the pinnacle. So, obviously, I mean, it's not a negative to compare him to Bruno. Bruno was no bum, but you know, he still has things to work on before you can compare him to like a Lennox Lewis. I mean, at this point, he still has some flaws that he needs to work on, but luckily, they seem to be bringing him along well. I mean, Dillian Whyte for himself, you know, he still showed that he's a tough fighter who has abilities, and he still has the potential to be put in there as one of the top guys in the heavyweight division as well. He's still a young fighter who only had 17 fights now, or 16, 17. So, you know, after this, he's going to see that he needs to improve on some things too, possibly like his fitness and, you know, getting himself ready so that he can throw more punches and be consistent and go 12 rounds. But, you know, I was impressed. I thought it was a great result, and it was basically exactly what people wanted. Some people are, of course, quick to like throw people under the bus and not give them the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, I thought both guys did themselves well.
I'm gonna go to you, EJ. I'm joining us live as well right now. Is Gail from Community Digital News out in the West Coast, out in California. And EJ just left. He just left us out. Hopefully he'll come back. I'll go to you then, Gail. We're talking about Anthony Joshua's 7th round stoppage over Dillian Whyte. Your impressions of the fight and in the aftermath. Your thoughts on Anthony Joshua. Did he answer a lot of your questions, or do you still have some issues with him in the aftermath?
I didn't have a lot of questions and still don't have a lot of questions. He is a good young fighter with talents that are readily apparent after the last fight and some talents still to be developed, and I think he's coming along just fine. People need to exercise, you know, a little bit of patience, but he's in the so far so good category as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I see you back. EJ, you back? Unmute your mic, brother, if you're back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the word about Anthony Joshua in the aftermath of this fight over in England, over in the UK? Impressed? Still more questions about him? What's the word?
The word is, man, it's all good, man. Anthony Joshua's the biggest money maker in the Matchroom stable. As you know, on my channel, I've been covering all the press conferences and the weigh-ins the whole week leading up to the fight, and interviewed Dillian myself, Joshua. So I've seen the whole thing, and obviously the fight with Stormzy coming out, Stiff Chocolate, that's the rapper, Grime. Since he came out and done that performance, his song's gone to #2. It's the most highest watch fight since for many years. So the pay-per-view done very well. You was right, the guy to the 400K. That's massive for a domestic fight. The whole card had 50-50 fights, and then Luke Campbell and all the rest of them guys there, and Kevin Mitchell losing as well. It was a great night for British boxing. It was booming. It was a phenomenal success. And Anthony Joshua is the media darling right now. Anything he touches has turned into gold. Almost like Oscar De La Hoya over there and the Golden Boy. Anthony Joshua is the Golden Boy. And the fanfare is crazy. Yeah, you get a lot of criticisms with Joshua trying to say, oh, yeah, he's shitting that. But the thing is, good things or bad things, they're talking about Joshua. As you can see, The other day it was just Ronda Rousey and Hollow Holmes talking about it. Now you see pure spread of Dillian Whyte. He's in hospital now, shoulder injury. Everyone's talking about who Joshua's going to fight next. They mentioned Derek Chisora. They mentioned other opponents as well. So the heavyweight division is back. Obviously we've got Fury. So UK boxing is booming in such a big way. And the aftermath, we're talking about Derek Chisora is probably a possibility. They say the next Joshua's going to be out in April. And the fight, and I'm going to talk about the fight slightly as well. The fight itself, yeah, was a surprise. A lot of people thought Dillian was going to go in the first round. And like for me, I put money on Dillian. I put quite a lot of money on Dillian actually. I wasn't even happy that he lost. Seriously, me, this is the thing that I interviewed me and the masseuse for Dillian Whyte, because I was in the media workup. Me, the masseuse, and also the person who was it? He massages Dillian. He works for Klitschko because Jonathan Banks is there, and they had a lot of Klitschko guys who work for Klitschko in the camp as well. And they were always saying, you know, Joshua, Dillian needs to relax and stuff like that. He had injuries going into the fight. Now, in the second round, when Dillian landed that big right hook, I believe, is it right hook? I think it was
left
right
hook.
hook. Left hook. When he left that left hook, yeah. If you look at it very closely in that fight, Dillian's knee gave away. He couldn't finish him. And this is the injuries that they didn't want to talk about. As he was throwing the punches and the combinations, Joshua went against the rope, and Dillian was going in for the kill. And if you look at his knees gave way. I think it was a meniscus. And because he had all these injuries coming into the fight, they didn't want to take no shine away from Joshua. But these are little things he had. And I think either maybe he sustained it in the fight from Joshua hitting, because Joshua hit him so hard that he might have got the injury. But I can tell you this, yeah, Dillian is not making no excuses. And over here, the Britain media over there are giving Dillian a lot of credit for actually going that far with Andy Joshua. And it's just been it was just the best thing happened for boxing, to be honest with you. It was the best thing. Better than that Conor McGregor to the Aldo bullshit what happened.
Oh, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Instagram fight.
I'm giving an example of, you know, we had two big guys with powerful punches going backwards and forward. There's some silly thing they're trying to make up. Conor McGregor is like next Muhammad Ali and Tyson, whatever. But anyway, the thing is, it's great, and so yeah, the money. He's the biggest, highest paying fight, and anything he touches goes. So in April, I'm going to be back out there again following the press conference. And this is the best thing ever for British boxing, honestly. Because obviously we've got Tyson Fury, he's the heavyweight champion, all his drama. Then you got obviously Andy Joshua on the emerge. You know what I'm saying? Derek Chisora, you know about Derek Chisora in the Munich incident with Klitschko. You know about him. So you know, there's a lot of guys out there. So yes, that's what I gotta say.
And check out EJ Boxing Live's channel, because he was at the weigh-in and he got that clip of Chris Eubank Sr. Dancing at the weigh-in, which was hilarious to me. That was hilarious. So exclusively on EJ Boxing Live. Check out his page on YouTube, excuse me, and check out Chris Eubank Sr. He got some moves. I'll give him that. He got some moves.
I see him like the mask. Christian, we call him Chris English over here. He don't call himself Eubank no more. He looked like the mask out there. He had some moves out there. Like, that whole event was crazy. But go ahead, let someone else give some take on it now.
Let me just ask this here. Outside I can't remember the guy that Arreola fought on PBC. I think he was at the fight, Gail. Was Whyte, Joshua,
Kaufman.
Yeah.
Trevor Kaufman.
Outside of that fight, could Whyte and Joshua could that have been the heavyweight fight of the year so far in 2015?
Well, no. That's my short answer. No. It's a good fight, but it wasn't a fight of the year, heavyweight fight. And from a shaking things up standpoint, yeah, you might have to give that to Klitschko and Fury as the fight of the year. But we've still
wasn't as entertaining.
Yeah, but we've still got Bryant and Ortiz this weekend, and you know, that could be a damn good fight. So I don't think I'd give it to Joshua and Whyte. Good fight, solid fight, propels the storyline in the division, and given the shakeup caused by Fury, gets them in the mix. But if we're moving pieces around the chessboard, they might not be pawns, but they're not the king and queen either.
Okay, second question. I'll just open it up for everybody here. Sean, you mentioned it. I think Daniel mentioned it as well, that you don't think that Anthony Joshua is ready for the likes of Wilder or Klitschko. How much time do you think he needs? I think he needs maybe another 18 to 24 months. Now I'll just open it up for everybody. I'll mute your mic, everybody. How long do you see it before Anthony Joshua is a serious challenger for the Klitschko and Wilder, well, for the Furies, the Wilder, and even Klitschko if he decides to stay around that long?
I think the end of 2016 he will be a name to be reckoned with. I mean, obviously he still won't be in his prime, but I mean he's going to be good enough to be a tough fight for any of those guys. I mean, it's early to say who would win because we haven't seen how he's going to progress in the next year. But, you know, that's like 10 months. And in 10 months, he's probably going to have 3 or 4 more fights. So I would think that at that point, he's going to be in a position where he will be one of the top names in the heavyweight division. Even
Sean, do you think he's going to have 3 more fights in 10 months? That's a lot.
It is, but, you know, it depends on what level of opposition they're going to move him up with, right? I mean, if they're going to keep him at this kind of level, then I think they could easily do it. If they're going to move him up too fast against bigger name guys they need to build, then obviously it would be more like 3. But, you know, they could throw him in with guys that, you know, at this point, what's Dillian Whyte's level? I mean, he hasn't really beat anybody, really. So, I mean, he is a prospect, so I'm not going to underestimate him and say anything bad about him. But he's still just a name that hasn't really done anything. So you could easily get him in with that level of opposition, guys that are, you know, top 40, you know, heavyweights. But just different styles, you know, to see how he does against more of a boxer and, you know, a guy who's much bigger than him. You know, it's just that kind of thing. And even at Chisora at this point, I mean, Chisora, you know, he's basically that level because he's just deteriorated so much. So, I mean, he's a big, big name, but I mean, he's not really a big talent anymore.
Yeah, you know, if it was a different era, I'd say longer than 12 months. But right now, yeah, I agree. Give him a year. Or give him less than a year with a spectacular fight. You know, it could happen. But I think it's going to take a year.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of pressure, right, to push him into a big fight. People are already talking about it. Like, he needs to jump in with Wilder or Fury right away.
I'll just open
I don't think of it in terms of years. I think of it in terms of opponents and fights. And you have to look at it like this. According to their team, which is Matchroom, they're saying that he needs at least 3 fights with opponents which could challenge him and push him and get him to learn things so that he could actually move up in level. So I would think of it as if you're going to have, say, 6 or 7 fights, out of those 6 or 7 fights, you need to have at least 3 fights where the level of opposition goes up until he fights somebody in the top 15 in, say, the WBC or the WBA or the IBF or whatever pathway they choose to go after. So when you're looking at it, you need to look at level of opposition, basically, and that's where he starts to step up. So this could take 2 years, it could take a year. It depends on how he performs against each level. So you can't really look at it and just jump ahead of everything. You have to kind of look at it on a fight-by-fight basis. That's how I'd put it.
EJ, Daniel, and joining us right now, Jacob Rivera. You can enter this discussion as well. But EJ, Daniel, Jacob, your thoughts on how long do you anticipate before Joshua is really ready for the elite opposition at heavyweight?
But Derek Chisora is already European champion. He was a European champion just long before Fury beat him. So that's European level, taking him out the picture. And Tempa, what's the other guy? The guy who knocked out Price? Him? Take out them two. Yeah, all he has to do is beat Derek Chisora and beat out Tempa, and he's already conquered Europe. You know, he's just got the British and Commonwealth belts. So he probably wants to try and win them outright. But if you beat Derek Chisora, and you know, there's nothing much. The talent pool, where he is slim. You know, and then after there's a lot. When you're on the world scene, there's a lot of guys out there. There's the Tony Thompsons and all them other guys, Orlando Solis and all them other guys there. So you know what I mean, he probably beat all them guys there. So there's really not holding him back. But if you think about it, yeah, who's had a easier road to the championship? Tyson Fury's had a very easy road to the championship. But when Joshua's going the road, they've actually put in harder obstacles. Tyson Fury never had a rival. I mean, he beat Derek Chisora quite easy, handily, and beat him again. And then that's how he got his shot at the championship. But with Joshua, they got to make Joshua go through all these hurdles for him to get a shot at the championship. So for me, but I think Joshua probably needs it though anyway. He probably needs the help with his confidence, yeah. But for me, it doesn't take much. Fury didn't have a hard road to get to the championship. Easy. He more or less come across quite fresh, and I think he caught Klitschko quite at the right timing. And the same with Joshua. Joshua, the fight with Whyte, Whyte wasn't. He's undefeated himself. He never came to. Yeah, he ain't never names on his resume, but he didn't come to lose.
To your point, DJ, I always thought that Dillian Whyte was better than a lot of people give him credit for. Just what I've seen.
Yeah, but he's not a very confident guy. Is Joshua? And I think Matchroom understands that he's not a very confident guy, and he's not saying he wants to fight all these guys, but everyone's blowing him up. He's not the one blowing smoke up his backside. When I actually talk to him, he doesn't say that stuff. He goes one step at a time. He takes everything very seriously. He trains very hard, but he's not saying I need this fight and that fight. He doesn't do that. It's Eddie Hearn saying. Eddie Hearn's making all the noise, trying to say I think he beats Deontay Wilder now and all them stuff there. So I think probably, either not next year. I think the year after he might challenge to the world. So I don't expect him to go for no world championships next year. I think he'll probably be like in 2017. That's what I think.
Unless I'll go to you on this one, Daniel. They able to maneuver him to fight for that vacant title that Glasgow forced away from basically Fury. Now they could possibly put him in with that, and then just let him coast and make a few defenses, make him money and some seasoning, whatever, and get him a title that way. But proceed, Daniel. Your thoughts on Anthony Joshua?
I think the consensus, pretty much all of us would be like he would need at least a minimum 2-3 more fights in order for him to actually be seen as really ready to challenge for a world title. He may not even get that though, because the plan I think Eddie Hearn has is to go through the IBF, to go after the winner of Glasgow-Martin and have Anthony Joshua fight there so he can at least have a title shot. That may be pushing it, but I think he needs 2 or 3 more fights. And there are some available in the UK, like Chisora. They said the name has been mentioned a lot. David Hay held Skybox Office. They tried to make the fight right then and there, I think, afterwards.
And you have Robert Helenius who's out there. You got the EU champ. You got those guys out there that he could step up on. And then probably pick a top 10, top 15 guy after.
Yeah, like I said, that would make sense. But Eddie Hearn might try to push it.
But Eddie Hearn he's been moving slow with Kell Brook anyway, so I don't think Eddie Hearn's going to push it fast with this guy. He's going to take his time with the kid too. I think so.
I hope so. That's it.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah.
That's the key thing. I hope so, because 2 or 3 more fights, then they become formidable, and who knows what happens in between then. For all we know, Klitschko might actually do something in the rematch with Fury, and then he's top dog again. So.
Like what?
Yeah, so we have to see what comes in, but minimum 2 or 3 more.
Like flatten him?
Yeah.
That ain't happening. He ain't flattening Fury.
He might be pissed enough. We'll see.
It doesn't matter how pissed he is. He has to hit him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the issue for Joshua is, I think Klitschko's going to be gone long before he's ready to get to that point. So I think when he gets to whatever we consider the top, Klitschko won't be the guy standing there. I don't know who will be standing there. I don't think it'll be. I can't imagine it being Tyson Fury, but who knows? But it could be Deontay Wilder. Could be Povetkin. Who knows? Could be Jennings or Luis Ortiz. If Ortiz has a spectacular performance this weekend, it's a game changer.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that fight later.
Yeah.
Let's get Jacob in here. Jacob Rivera, unmute your mic, sir. Your impressions of Anthony Joshua's win over Dillian Whyte, and answer the question that's right now on the table for everybody. How far off do you see? How long do you see before Joshua is ready for the top names, namely Fury, Wilder, and Klitschko if he decides to fight on if he wins the rematch or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple questions that I think got answered, or at least for me, with Joshua. One was, could he go past I think he hadn't been out of the third round ever, and so he showed that he can do that. The other thing was his chin, and he got tested. I think it was that second round. He got tested, and he showed a lot of maturity in the sense that he was able to weather that storm, because we all knew that was what was going to happen with Dillian Whyte. I think Dillian Whyte, and speaking on what you guys were talking about earlier, I think he, if he was in a little bit better shape, he probably could have done a little bit more. But I think he's definitely, and I hope that they make caution with him and build him up. He's probably about 3 fights away from challenging those top guys. And I hope that they don't rush him along too much. He still needs to be tested into deeper waters, and see if his stamina can hold up. He's got some athletic talent, and I like the kid, and I would hate to see him get rushed, and then he becomes this kind of experiment that explodes.
Okay. I want to talk about some other fights on that big pay-per-view card that took place in London. Eubank Jr., his winner was Spike O Sullivan, and Kevin Mitchell getting upset by a fighter by the name of Barroso, as well as Luke Campbell suffering a surprising defeat by way of, gosh, I can't remember his name, Yvonne Mendy. I want to go to Eubank Jr. first, and I'll just open it up for everybody here. Your impressions of his fight against Spike O Sullivan. I thought, for me, he fought with a little bit more maturity than he did, say, in his lone defeat last year to Billy Joe Saunders. I liked his cool. He came in a quarter pound, I think, overweight. That just says to me that he's basically ready for super middleweight. He's outgrowing that division, but be that as it may, your thoughts on Eubank Jr. as he systematically broke down Spike O Sullivan and forced him to quit? And this is for everybody.
I thought he looked great. I mean, he showed power and speed. At the same time, people shouldn't overreact to it. I mean, this Spike Sullivan is a guy that Billy Joe Saunders beat quite a while ago. So it's not like a step-up fight for Eubank. It was a step-back fight against a guy who was calling him out, and a fight that was anticipated in the UK. There's talk now about Eubanks being mandatory for Jacobs. That would be a good fight. I mean, the thing with Eubanks is he has all the ability. Now that he has a new trainer, we have to see how that ability ends up looking. I mean, against Saunders, he showed that he has power, but he could be reckless. He was one-dimensional, and he wasn't able to adjust very well. Obviously, with a new trainer, we'd like to see him improve on those things. Because at this point, I think he is one of the top guys at 160. He just needs to be more mature. Even in this O'Sullivan fight, he still exposed himself by doing a lot of stupid stuff, trying to parade around like his father. At this point, he may want to cut down on the crap and focus on doing that after he has a guy handily beaten, as opposed to being like Fury. But even when Fury was putting his hands behind his back, it was later on in the fight. But at this point, I think we need to see Eubank step up and fight a higher level of competitor. Somebody who is legitimate top 10 160 fighter, because the last guy he fought, he got beat by, and since then he hasn't really stepped up to the same level. But it'll be interesting to see what happens for him in the future. I mean, he does look the full prospect, but I think he, like you were mentioning, I don't think he's going to be able to fight at 160 for very long. It seems as if his destiny is 168.
I'll just open it up for everybody else who wants to comment.
Well, Eubank is supposedly Jacob's mandatory. Jacob wants no part of him. Jacob wants the winner of Lee Saunders. Who doesn't? Yeah, exactly, because Eubank isn't worth enough money to Jacob. So and I must admit, I would much rather see Jacob fight the winner of Lee Saunders. But the fact is, I'd much rather see Triple G fight the winner of Lee Saunders, especially if it's Andy Lee. Lee GGG, it would be a tasty, tasty opening fight for 2016. I would love to see that. The nice thing is, though, we do have lots of fun things to shuffle around the board and play with in the middleweight division right now, so it's all good. They just all got to keep winning until somebody knocks them out.
Yeah, definitely. Eubanks, to me, is he's always done that. Him and his dad, they come together as a group. And the thing is, British public love Chris Eubank, senior, or Chris English. They love him. And when you see the two of them, acting the way they do, yeah, it's just there to entertain the crowd. It really is. It's just it's a showmanship. They do it. When I was at the press conference and stuff like Spike, and another thing about with Spike as well, I thought Spike actually did his part. Spike actually did his part in terms of he really sold the fight on Twitter, but when it came to the press conference, he really didn't do anything. He never said anything. He didn't do anything at all. So I just thought to myself, Eubanks is entertaining. People can't get enough of him, and it was a good fight, and it showed Eubank can take a punch, man. Because I'll tell you what, Spike can really crack, man. That guy can really crack, and Billy Jones Jr.'s never stopped him. I think it was the right fight for Eubanks, and the reason why Eubanks is not really breaking up the World Series because they want to get the British belt. They believe that they need to get the British belt. They want to go through the old system. The reason why he had the fight with Billy Joe Saunders because the English belt was, the British belt was on the line. So they're trying to go after Nick Blackwell and Spike to try and get them belts here. So they've made themselves in that thing. But the thing is with the Eubanks as well, they're so entertaining. It's like whether you dislike him, you hate him, or you want to see him, but you can't stop watching. It's hilarious. His dad dancing down to the ring, Eubanks there actually posturizing, jumping over the ring, and there's all these showmanships. It makes people love it. You know what I mean? And then obviously he gets the win, and he was looking really good in that fight as well. And he did the right thing with Spike actually pulling him up because he was going to get hurt, but he threw a right hook from hell with Spike on Eubanks' chin. And Eubanks did well to deal with that and come back to put a beat on him. And if he wants, I don't think Eubank Senior Jr. wants to. He's definitely supposed to be back Daniel Jacobs, but I don't think they're going to go for that. I think they're going to go Nick Blackwell, like I said, get the British belt, probably defend it a couple of times and see what happens then. And if Jacobs wants to win out of Saunders and Lee, yeah, so be as well. So it's good. But the thing is, yeah, everyone needs the Eubank Jr. is the only one saying he wants to fight Triple G. So let's try and make that fight. Hopefully Eubank does his thing in the British and try and fight Triple G. I would love to see that fight. Seriously, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. Whether he used to lose, yeah, which everyone will probably have him doing, it doesn't matter. The fact that you want to challenge the best, and he's the only one calling them out. Actually, Torino Johnson is calling out Triple G as well. But they're the only two people I actually know of who actually want to fight Triple G. I mean, who wants to fight that dude? The maniac, you know. But that's what I got to say.
Toriano Johnson's been calling Triple G out for a year.
Well, let's face it, he got the shaft. He was supposed to get that fight that Willie Monroe got. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, and he fought on the Madison Square Garden undercard, the Golovkin Lemieux undercard. He looked pretty good. He didn't look spectacular, but he didn't embarrass himself. So
he looked good in the early rounds. He looked
early, but then he kind of let it get away from him. He couldn't close the show. I mean, not that he didn't fade, he just didn't close, and that always raises a little alarm bell in my head. But he's in the mix too of all of these matchups because he's in theory undefeated and right there.
Before I go to Daniel and Jacob and what you need for their comments on Eubank Jr.'s stoppage of Spike O Sullivan, I got a follow-up question for you, EJ. Unmute your mic, EJ. Got a follow-up question for you. We're going to talk about Saunders and Lee later on. Assuming Saunders beats Andy Lee, where do you think Eubank Jr. would go in this scenario? Do you think he would go for a Saunders rematch, or do you think he would go for a mandatory against Jacobs?
Nah, he'll go straight for that. He can't stand that dude. He can't stand that dude. He's coming straight for him. He can't stand it. I think they go for him. I know he's still upset he lost the fight. I actually had him winning that fight. Actually, I actually thought he won the fight. I think the last 6 rounds Eubank brought it back. I thought it was either a draw or Eubank won by 1 point. He wants him badly. You know, that's the pride stuck in. He hates. They hate each other. Saunders don't give no credit to Eubank. He goes, oh yeah, I beat Spike first and this, that, the other. They got this. And here goes straight for Saunders. So Saunders and Saunders said if he becomes a world champion, he'll give Eubank the first shot at his belt. So he'll go straight for him. And I actually, in that fight, I actually got Saunders win that fight. I think Saunders will win that fight on points, but that's another discussion coming up. So yeah, that's what I think he'll do.
Okay, cool. Daniel, Jacob, what you need? Your thoughts on Eubank stoppage of O'Sullivan?
It was a nice fight, like I said. That was a pretty nice fight between it. I give props to Spike O Sullivan. That dude is tough. He came in there, and it took a lot of what Eubank does well, with the combinations and speed, to really just batter O'Sullivan, and it got to the point, like I said, that the corner had to stop it, which was a good stoppage to me. I didn't know a couple of people that said, no, it was bad, he should have went out. Spike O'Sullivan should have went on his shield, he was fighting well, but he was taking, unfortunately, a little bit too much punishment at the end. And Eubank, like I said, he looked really good. Has he looked better since he lost to Billy Joe Saunders? That one I think is still up in the air because he hasn't fought anybody of that level since that loss. So maybe this now, with him supposedly being the mandatory now for Daniel Jacobs, maybe this will open up that question a little bit more. But then again, Jacobs once said the winner of Andy Lee and Billy Joe Saunders, and through some magic of the WBA, Daniel Jacobs might actually become Triple G's mandatory for that belt. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see. But I say I like the fight. I like the toughness of both. But luckily, they said the better fighter won, and luckily the corner for O'Sullivan did the right thing with them.
Jacob, what you need? Your thoughts on the fight?
I mean, it was a good fight, but I mean, I kind of agree with Sean in the sense that I don't know that anything was gained from it. You know, I would love to probably, you know, see a rematch, but another name I'll throw out there because of possible, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Peter Quillen, if he's going to move up in weight, and same thing with Eubanks. If he ends up moving up in weight, that could be a potential fight. I don't think that Jacobs is looking for that fight. I think he's looking, you know, like everybody else in the division, to unify the belt. So he probably wants that winner of that Lee fight or Triple G or something to that effect. So that's kind of where my head's at.
What you need? Unmute your mic. We're talking Eubank and his stoppage of O'Sullivan. Your thoughts on it?
No comment. I don't like where boxers don't box smart. Okay, this guy wasn't boxing smart. Chris Eubank Jr. They say he has a lot of talent. He doesn't begin and end his assaults with a jab, so he doesn't maintain distance. This is why O'Sullivan was landing left hooks on him whenever he wanted to, when he got out of his little shell. So bad boxing on my part is what I think I saw. He just so happened to be a bigger, stronger guy than Sullivan.
Okay. I'm gonna combine two fights into one here. There are times where even us as boxing heads, boxing geeks, we miss on things, and I'm guilty of that now. In these two fights that I'm getting ready to talk about, I didn't do my due diligence in terms of Ismael Barroso, the guy who stopped Kevin Mitchell, really overpowered him in 5 rounds. I didn't do my due diligence on Yvonne Mendy, who beat Luke Campbell, both on that same card, beat him by decision. I want to just open it up for everybody to chime in. Again, I was just your thoughts on it, because look, Mitchell, he's an up and down fighter, but I didn't see him get overpowered and destroyed in the way he got overpowered and destroyed, and I just didn't see. I didn't do my enough homework on Mendy, as he basically outworked Luke Campbell over 12 rounds. Your thoughts on those fights? Anybody?
Listen, I was at the press conference, I done my research, and I wanted to get an interview with the Venezuelan dude. But every time I tried to get an interview, he had to go somewhere, and especially the Wayne, just before the Wayne, I was gonna get my interview. I already knew. I go, "How you doing, Campbell?" And he goes, "No, we go Wayne, come back in a minute." And you know how it is in the press conference. You say 1 minute, and a lot of things happen, and you miss it, and it's done. But I knew he was gonna win. I put money on him. I put money on the Mendy dude as well. I knew he would win as well. I was looking at the previous fights coming into it, and I said that Mendy dude is a really good counter puncher. And I saw, and obviously with the Venezuelan dude, he hits really hard. And I was like, damn, hold on a minute. So Kevin Mitchell, you just fought a real hard puncher in Linares, and how many months ago you just healed from that? I mean, physically he looked alright. But you can't come out. He got beat up and then stopped. I said, no way. He's definitely going to be out the pasture. So I said, as soon as Venezuela hits with that right hand, he's got Luke Campbell. I said to myself, he's a good boxer. He needs to be able to maintain distance and running tactics. If he can continue that, then he'll win the fight. But I didn't think he had the discipline, and because every time he's been fighting guys, he's been rolling and knocking them out. This Mendy guy is really good defense. He won the Mendy won the distance with Postal. No, we saw what Victor Postal's about, so we already know Postal's a tough dude to go distance with Postal. So this was a step up way too far for him, and it showed. And it showed too much. Like what's his name again? The Olympian. He wasn't ready, man. He wasn't ready for that, man. He just when he saw that, he actually thought he won the fight as well. I couldn't believe he still thinks he won that fight. Because he must be out of his mind. Nothing as well. He's missing his front tooth. I don't know when that happened in boxing the spar. Just to point out, it looked terrible. I saw in the corner where he was missing his whole of his front tooth. You saw it as well. He was missing the whole of his front tooth. They had a mouthpiece here to put in his into the fight. I was like, oh my god. Look how young this guy is. Luke Campbell is, and he's missing his front tooth. And then he said, yeah, I won that fight. I said, yeah, you got brain damage out here. Right? And Kevin Mitchell in the press conference, he goes, yeah, as soon as this guy takes my left, took my right hand, he'll know what time it is. I was looking at him saying, listen, mate, do you know how seriously? I don't think they've done their research. And I actually felt that Barry Hearn, not Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn, said we've got loads of fighters on our roster, like our Heyman, we're putting them out to pasture. We're putting them out to pasture. I want to test these guys to see if they really made it, if they're really about. And he got beat the crap out of two of them, got smashed to bits, man. And I won the prize because the guys in boxing, you know, you can go so far and picking certain fighters and getting away with it. But when you go against real kind of fighters, that shows your grain and shows you're made of. And they failed the test, and Kevin needs to retire right now. He needs to retire, and Luke Campbell needs to change his trainer, his whole team. He needs to find himself in America, get some good sparring, come to the wild card, mix up there with Freddie Roach and some of them guys that learn how to move your head. And that's what I got to say on that, man.
And he needs a new dentist.
Yeah, him and Matthew Macklin, they're missing their front row teeth. They have to put.
You know, when you lose teeth, you know, chances are pretty good you're gonna lose. Okay, you're gonna lose. That's just not good. This is not good. Yeah, Mitchell, I think, was less of the surprise, although, you know, I don't think he had a lot of people betting against him, but he's shown to be erratic in the past. Campbell was the surprise, but, you know, this is what happens with younger guys, you know, and it goes back to the discussion we started the show with tonight about, you know, Joshua coming along and Whyte coming along and trying to gauge where they are. You know, you're going to be surprised once in a while.
It reminded me of a Mary Mom.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Here's, you know, Imam, the next great thing. You know, he's the next, you know, next great welterweight. We were blown right past 140 with him. We were already into the next division with him, and then, oh, whoops. He didn't just lose, he lost. So, you know, it's a good reminder for all of us, and we need to remind ourselves this is why we love the sport. You know, this is why we love it, because the outcome isn't assured, and we do have these things happen. It's an organic process. You know, the same two guys can have a completely different result on another day. That's what makes it so much fun.
Daniel, Sean, Jacob, what you need? You got any thoughts on these two fights?
These two fights were actually good, and they're very surprising. I didn't catch, unfortunately, the Luke Campbell fight. I was still outside, but I was catching it on Twitter. it was, from what I hear, was a pretty close fight, and a lot of people were surprised that, given the crowd, that Luke Campbell actually lost. But the other fight that did catch, that was a beatdown that Kevin Mitchell received.
Yes.
That was a thorough beatdown, and I'll give this for a lot of people. A lot of people don't tend to look at Latin American fighters out beyond Mexico or Puerto Rico because they're really, for all intents and purposes, not a lot of them go outside. Like, the only country that's been done an effort so far is Argentina in doing that. But others are fighters like Colombia, there's fighters like Peru, Ecuador. They haven't really been put out there, which is probably the reason why a lot of people didn't pay attention to Barroso when coming in, but they got his attention now. And quite frankly, I think Kevin Mitchell probably didn't even recover from the beating he got from Linares before.
Mm.
He has that going into it. This is supposed to be a bounce back fight, and Barroso had other plans. It was brutal. That fight was brutal. I think when they stopped at the point, Kevin Mitchell, I think, was about to just go unconscious. At that point, I think his hands were completely down there at a certain point. But it was a good fight, and it opens up a little bit of things because I think Barroso now is the mandatory for. Is it for Crawler this time?
WBA, yeah.
Crawler, yeah.
Yeah, so that fight's going to be good. So it opens up a very, very good fight. And now that we know what Barroso's made of, like I said, I can't wait.
He's a huge lightweight. And when I was doing my preview, my prediction, I realized that we all know he's southpaw. But you know, the Venezuelan fighters generally have a lot of power in their punching. I don't know what techniques they utilize, but they usually are very powerful punchers. And he comes from Venezuela. Another thing people don't know is he would go abroad. He went Mexico, Costa Rica, United States, Panama. He's been fighting mostly away from his home country. And this guy, he does the business, man. I watched him. He's the real deal.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. What you need. That's the thing when it comes to like South American fighters. They don't really go outside of their own country sometimes for fights. Like I said, the only exceptions have been the Argentinos lately. Like,
yeah, but this guy's been everywhere. He's been in the Dominican Republic. I mean, he's been all over the place.
But the opposition wasn't that great when he went outside.
Hey, let's like to point out.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, they were okay. It wasn't a Kevin Mitchell level, but
I just have to point out as well the gloves as well. Most of the Latino fights when they come on, they were wearing Reyes gloves. Yeah, he was wearing Reyes gloves, and Mitchell had the gloves of kind of cushion, and that was a big thing as well. He came with the Reyes gloves. I saw them nice. They were tight. He came to do damage, man. So
punches gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniel, Jacob, Jacob, Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I didn't do too much research on this fight either. I thought that Mitchell had, I thought he was actually competitive in the Linares fight. I didn't think he, eventually, he got stopped, but or I think the ref stopped the fight. But I thought it was pretty competitive early on. And he got caught, and then he got put away. And I thought he had one more hurrah left in him. So I underestimated his opponent, and then I was surprised by the Campbell fight. But I agree with the assessment on here. He's got to when you get to a crossroads and what you were doing before isn't working, you gotta switch it up.
The thing with Luke Campbell, I was making a comment. Go ahead. I was gonna say something, but.
No, go ahead. What you need? Go ahead.
Sean doesn't want to say something.
You got your mic muted, Sean. Unmute your mic. There you go.
I think these fights turned out one of the two ways they could have turned out, when they set these up. Mitchell, the more seasoned veteran with the better resume, could have showed his skill and beat the Venezuelan guy. Or the big puncher could have steamrolled him, which is what happened. In the Luke Campbell fight, this was meant as a challenge, a test fight. To see if he was ready for that championship level fight with the other big name, UK fighters at that weight division, and he failed. But he didn't fail miserably. It was a tough fight, a competitive fight. There's just things he needed to do to be able to beat the tough fighter in Mendy, who was obviously the much more seasoned veteran, the better defensive fighter, and a tough guy who was able to take it. So the good thing for him, I mean, he can learn from this and he can prepare so that next time he is more able to beat an opponent like this and put himself into a position to beat the Flanagans and other guys in his division. So for him, I still think there's a shining light at the end of the tunnel. But as EJ said, I mean, I do think it's time for Mitchell to hang up the gloves. Sorry for the instruction.
No
But
problem.
you see the thing is, Sean, yeah? You can learn from it if you feel like you lost, but he still feel he won, Sean. Luke Campbell thought he won the fight, man. So his learning curve is that he thought he won the fight. I don't think until you admit you lost the fight, then you can actually say you need to learn. And you think it was a close fight? I don't think it was even close. I think he got blown out of the water and completely exposed. You know, and that's just my take on it.
You was wanting to make one final point. What you need?
Yeah, I was going to say about Luke Campbell. I remember saying in a hangout with Boxing Beats and Rhymes that he had to develop his inside game, and a lot of people didn't understand what I was saying. By the way, the opponent he faced at the time, he wasn't an inside fighter. And I'm not saying that even Mendy was an inside fighter per se. I still have to go and really look at the fight to say. But I believe if you don't have an inside game, you see, that's where any deficiency you have, now your opponent could actually maximize on that. And so I don't really know what happened in the fight. I still have yet to watch it. But if that
You
was...
feel like an amateur is what happened. He's still fighting like an amateur. He ain't changed anything. He don't got no head movement. He was basically fighting to score. He was fighting like an amateur. Like, what's that guy in front time, Frankie Gavin? In the amateur style. He hasn't adapted to it. And Mendy head can fight outside and inside. Mendy beat him up in the inside and in the outside. He was cowboxing. Go ahead.
For me,
exactly.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly my point. And so when I saw that sign the first time when he won that fight against, I forgot the guy's name now. I saw that he needed to develop that aspect of his game, right? And he should have fought, for instance, a simple come forward inside fighter with a high guard that walks to you, right? Uses the jab and walks to you. Doesn't necessarily have to change levels, but you need to walk to you, and he must be good on the inside. He needed to use that to develop his inside game, and then he could move to another style where they actually change levels, you know, like I wouldn't say like Granados, because Granados is a whole other level of fighter.
Yes, he is.
He's a whole other level of fighter, right? He comes in off the jab, he jabs to the pit, he works your body really well. But and he uses combinations that are really nice while he's moving off at angles. I'm talking about somebody like who can I think of, where they actually change levels. So they're coming in, but they change levels. And Jojo Diaz fought I forgot the Mexican fighter. That guy. A guy like that. That's who he needed. Somebody like that. Because those guys, they're tricky. They're not fast. They're not super fast. They're not super skilled in any area. But they give you just enough of that look you need to be able to handle inside fighting and still be able to adapt your style if you need to fight on the outside. So that kind of fighter I was thinking of, he needed to face.
In other words, fight a guy that could expose him a bit without proving too dangerous so he wouldn't lose to.
Right.
A fight that he could really learn from going forward without being exposed to being beat.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Mendy was like that. And the thing is, Luke Campbell, you're talking about a tall southpaw, you know, a tall rangy southpaw. They actually put it in there. He should have stayed away and just clearly outboxed Mendy. But he thought he believed in his power. And the problem is when he wasn't used to getting hit back. That's what the problem is. And the dudes you just mentioned, if Luke Campbell goes in, he's going to lose against them dudes as well. Until he realizes that he needs to have some head movement, he needs to have bad defense, and you're right, what you need. He needs to learn how to deal with smaller guys, how to hold them. Is the problem. He needs to have to hold tall guys when they come in and lean on them. Because he's taller than a tall southpaw. You know, and that's the problem. With the guys you mentioned.
He also has to change levels on them. Like, even when you're a tall guy, Like look at Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury versus Klitschko, perfect example. You have to be able to change levels sometimes, even as a tall guy.
I wouldn't give that example because he's a novice. Is the thing. He's a complete novice. If you haven't seen the fight,
True.
When you see the fight, yeah, he's a complete novice. He can't move his head. He's like Ronda Rousey in Holly Holmes. I don't know if you've seen that. Where Ronda Rousey's head was just there to get, he didn't move her head. That's what Luke Campbell. He didn't move his head. It was terrible. It was terrible. He believed in his power because he's been knocking out the last few opponents. So he didn't think he needed to move his head, and that's the problem. He didn't know how to tie up, and the corner was saying you're winning the fight. They were telling him he's winning the fight. Luke Campbell finished the fight, said, "Oh, I won that fight. I think I got robbed on the scorecards." I couldn't believe it. So this is what I'm trying to say. Until you understand that you didn't win the fight, you understand that you need to change things in your camp. You'll never get any better. I don't see any improvements because he's still. When I interview him, I'm gonna go in. When I see him, I'm gonna interview him. I'm gonna go in on him anyway. Next time I see him, he probably won't like me, but I'm gonna tell him the truth. And I'm serious. I'm gonna see him again though because he'll probably be out in April. So I'm gonna catch him because I ignored him in the press conference because he ain't a big marquee name. I was after Eubank, and Eubank Senior and Junior. That's probably why I missed him. I'm gonna get him this time. I'm gonna interview him. And what you need, I'm gonna send you a link. Yeah, I send it on Google so you can watch the fight yourself, so you can see what I'm saying. And Mr. Michael, I told you Tyson Fury was gonna beat Canelo and Klitschko, and I didn't get my pro.
You said you were gonna knock him out in the first round too. I was gonna put some money on that.
I didn't say no. I didn't say that.
You didn't put money on the first round knockout or something like that? You were talking about that?
I didn't put more money in. I said you can get winning money in the first. I put money on win. I covered all the rounds. I put money on win. But I said if you put money on the first round, I said if you put money in the first round, if Fury knocks him out in the first, you can hold the money. But listen to this. You guys were dogging me the whole time.
I wasn't dogging you. I wasn't dogging you. I told you it was a tough fight, and I thought Klitschko needed to go to the body. But I thought he would win, but I thought he needed to go to the
Errol
body.
has bragging rights, man. Bragging rights. We cannot deny
One thing about me, I'm a realist. Like I never dogged Tyson Fury. I never said he didn't have a chance in hell. I said that I thought Klitschko with the more honed skills would be able to beat Tyson Fury, and I was wrong about that. But
2 weeks I've been holding.
I even have my opinion on that.
2 weeks I've been holding this back here. You guys, not you what you need. Michael bringing that song, boop boop, and you was hounding. I was like, okay, I had to get the whole thing up, and then I couldn't get my chance to fight. I was so tired. Because you guys are late. You come on so late.
I think we need to stop the presses because I think that's the first time you've ever held back on anything.
Man, I couldn't wait, man. I was dying. So I fell asleep. Oh my god, I was so hyped from the whole week. You know what? This is a great year of boxing. I don't know what.
No doubt.
The thing I will say is it's been a hell of a year for boxing in the UK especially. I will say that.
Oh,
no doubt.
Absolutely. James DeGale, Kell Brook, Tyson Fury, Liam Smith.
Chocolatito finally makes it to the big stage, you know, all that.
And plus
Finally
crazy.
Love for the smaller divisions, you know.
You got two world champions at 135. Yeah.
You got Flanagan. You got what's this guy?
Flanagan and Crulla.
Also the Irish Mayweather or Scottish Mayweather. What's his name?
Oh, you're talking about Lee Selby.
Lee Selby, baby.
Lee Selby.
Yep.
Right.
So absolutely.
It's all good. All good.
I want to combine a few fights here and just ask specific folks about the fight. I know you probably have to leave in a little bit, Jacob, so I'm going to ask you and Daniel about these two fights coming up. Chris Arreola, it's a close, debatable win to some over, Kaufman.
Travis Kaufman.
I thought Kaufman did a number on him.
Right. I felt Kaufman won, to be honest with you as well. And Omar Figueroa beat DeMarco. My reaction is meh to both fights. I mean, look, Arreola, he came in at a lighter weight, but you just saw the same old Chris Arreola. And Omar Figueroa, he does what he does. He mauls and brawls and roughs guys up. No real skills as far as I'm concerned.
He beat punches all day.
Right. and beats are older than Marco. So I'll go to you, Jacob, and then you, Daniel, your thoughts on this, because I didn't gain nothing from either performance. They are what they are, both Arreola and Figueroa.
I mean, I agree in the sense that Arreola, to me, I think he needs to hang him up. I think he did come in better shape, but and he seems like a really nice guy. I was talking to some people that were taking pictures with him, and he seems very personable and whatnot. But I think his time has passed, and before he does further damage to himself, he just can't take the punches that he used to be able to take. I think he got knocked down in the 4th round in that fight. So
body punch, head punch, man. Lovely setup.
Yeah, call it a career. He has nothing really to hang his head about. I mean, I don't want him to end up like a future Apollo Creed, Roy Jones Jr., who I have to give props to EJ. I watched his video on that. He did a commentary on that. It was pretty damn good. So good stuff from that. As far as Omar Figueroa, I mean, I've never been really that impressed with that guy. When he fought, I saw him fight Belmontes, and I actually thought Belmontes won that fight. It was kind of an ugly fight. But then he was on the Kelbrook Porter undercard, and he brought it to Estrada, and he ended up stopping him. But I mean, I don't really see him going anywhere. It's kind of like what you said. It's kind of like, I could take him or leave him. I mean, he does have heart, and he'll throw a ton of punches. But I don't know that he's going to actually accomplish much in that division.
Well, he's getting paid though. I'll give him that, because they paid him a lot for this fight. But I just don't see him topping the elite at 140. I know he weighed over that. He was over the contract limit for this weight.
151.
Right. So I'm just wondering if he's.
And that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate when boxers don't make the weights.
I mean, is he
that
becoming
one of the most important jobs.
Oh man, we're all chiming in on the chat window on this show. The rest of us not speaking. This is part of their job. Their job includes making weight. That is critically important. There are weight divisions.
Can I ask a question though?
And it's a safety issue for the other guy.
Just to interrupt though, what is the use of this day before weigh-in for real? I mean, the guys blow up to 10, 15 pounds after, and basically the weight you're really supposed to be fighting at is fight weight, which is why do they have these days?
The minute promoters found out that weigh-ins could become a separate fan event, they became day before events. And for big fights, you've seen it. They can fill a ballroom in any major Vegas venue or a lot of others just for a half-hour weigh-in.
But I think that's missing the point in the sense I understand what he's saying. It's like, what is the point of having the rule of you can come in at this weight and be in 2 weight classes away from that weight?
Exactly.
I agree with you. The danger.
You're preaching to the choir here. I hate them, but the truth is, we will never go back to day of weigh-ins. So we have to find an alternative. And to me,
why don't they have a cutoff limit?
The rehydration clause limit.
I think IBF has
the IBF has a contract limit. What you need, where you cannot put more than 10 pounds. But to answer your question, it used to official quote unquote reason was because they wanted to give fighters time to fully recover from making weight. But the problem with that is, in boxing over the past 25, 30 years, fighters now, they don't fight at their weight. They get down to make weight, and they use that day to pump up and blow up to gain an advantage.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be to help fighters recover from that weigh-in so they won't have to go into a fight. I know in England, correct me if I'm wrong, EJ, they still may do it in some domestic fights where they day of the fight weigh-ins. But in a lot of other places, particularly here in the States, they just do not do it anymore.
Yeah, because that fight.
We still do it in the York. They come in the morning and make the weight on the same day before the event, a couple of hours before the event. Yeah, we do that. We still do that over here.
Because I know for Ben Eubank back in 1990, it was the day of the fight weigh-in, and Ben had issues making weight. He said later on that he was something like 5-6 pounds over. And it had an effect on him during the fight. So
they don't do that anymore. We still do it. What we do On small shows like the ones that I go to, that's the York. That'll be equivalent to your maybe Madison Square Garden, the small one.
The theater.
They come in a couple hours. They come in a couple hours before the fight, and they do that. On major events like you saw Joshua and White, they do a day before. So on main event, on big events, we do like in America. But small shows, we still do it on the same day, so we still retain that. We still retain it on small days. And to be honest with you, they probably in England were very strict with that when it comes to the weight thing. I don't think certain fights would actually go ahead if there was that much discrepancy with the marker thing. I don't think that. I think they'd have to pull the fight. Actually, they'd have to do that.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, EJ. Excuse me, Gail. But didn't the British Boxing Commission basically kind of hire like a nutritionist for Chris Eubank back in the day when he used to dry himself out extremely to make weight? They kind of hired a nutritionist for him so he wouldn't try to do that, because I know he fought a couple of fights where he would dry himself out, wouldn't eat for a week, and the British Boxing Commission, I think against Henry Wharton, said you're not going to do this time. Basically hired a nutritionist for him to maintain his weight.
Yeah, they do that. And the thing is, but that was out of his own money. That wasn't doing the British board though. That was doing. Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is that we still retain old school boxing of same day weigh-ins. We do them in small. Because I was talking to Don Charles, who used to coach, train Derek Chisora, and I said to him, "Oh, when can I come into the weigh-in? Is it tomorrow?" He goes, No, we do it the same day. I goes, "You do it the same day?" He goes, "Yeah, a couple of hours before." And it's just between the British board and the fighter. And if he doesn't make weight, that guy doesn't fight. I'll give you a quick example. A guy called Jordan Joseph, he came to make weight, and they must test him. He was over the weight. They said, "Nah, you can't fight no more." And that was it. It was off the card. So they do that. you wouldn't be able to fight. They don't care. But on the major fights, like what you saw with Joshua and White, nah, they do day before. So it gives a... Because remember, Chris Eubank didn't make the weight. Jr. didn't make the weight in the first one against Sullivan. He had to come in later on, so they give him time for him to make the weight. I think it was a couple of inches the house is out. So we still do that. But only on big events.
Okay, I'm gonna bring Daniel back into this. Your thoughts on Arreola and Figueroa's win? Again, I was like, yeah, I didn't learn anything. They just are what they are as fighters. That size says it all, huh?
Okay, let me start with Arreola first. He came in at least in decent weight, but it didn't improve anything as much as far as technique, as far as movement. And when he when he knocked down in the first round, I thought, okay, we're gonna see the same old Chris. And we wound up seeing the same old Chris. And to me, Kaufman won the fight. He did, he lost unfortunately by decision. And I think a lot of people try to say that, oh, maybe Heyman has plans now for Arreola to make one last push, so he needs him to have this victory. But he didn't deserve it.
Right. And that's his second fight where you can question whether he won or not.
Exactly. And it's almost the second or third fight in the row that's happened to him. Amazingly enough, all on PBC. Now,
imagine that.
Now with Figueroa, him and Benavidez, we're going to talk about hopefully Benavidez soon. They came in overweight at almost the exact same weight. So I've had a feeling out of me where they should be hanging out. But come on. Okay, you listed it as a 140 fight. You came in that sense 11 pounds overweight. Now apparently it was contracted at 150 or 149. Figueroa still came overweight. Had to pay DeMarco 200K just to keep the fight going, and Figueroa's what he is. He's a fighter that's going to try to smother you, trying to get you on the ropes, but because he doesn't do any fundamental defense, if you have power, you can catch him. If you can do much output, you can catch him. And that's pretty much what happened in that fight. Like I said, DeMarco retired twice. Remember this.
Right. Well, this last time he retired for what, 3 months?
Yep. And every single time, like I said, they kept bringing him back, and look what he did. We put Figueroa through in that fight. It's true. No, we didn't really learn anything in this little event. Like I said, which turned into even lesser because of Wishpoka getting the Wilder fight and Martin getting another fight for Glasgow. Like I said, it only turned to a 2-fight, and I'm glad because I did not want to see Victor Ortiz in that fight.
You know what? I was trying not to miss my name on my show.
He did well, man.
At least had a decent fight.
Yeah, he had a decent fight, I heard.
He did.
The dude that he fought was ranked 494th.
Yeah, but it was a decent fight.
He did what he was supposed to do with him.
Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly right. He did what he was supposed to.
Which was why I was not trying to mention him.
I'm sorry.
To quote Chris Rock, you don't give credit for folks for shit they're supposed to do.
No. Yeah, poor Chris. I mean, unfortunately, he weighed in at the lowest weight in his professional career as a heavyweight. That's really an amazing thing when you think about it. Chris Arreola, Chris has always been big. Some guys, for their frame, are never going to be slim, never going to be cut. That's how he looks. He's always going to have some beef on him. And it doesn't help that he, in between fights, enjoys life. And he does, and he freely admits it. And, I have this great affection for Chris. I like him. Nobody doesn't like him. He comes to the other fights. He hangs with the fighters. He hangs with the fans. He's approachable. He has a great attitude. But damn, his skills are not improving. And unfortunately, to take off that much weight, he needed to pick up a commensurate amount of speed or footwork as he lightened up. You would think if a guy is walking around with 30 pounds less on him, he'd move a little faster. And he didn't. And the result is he also lost 30 pounds of force. So those punches that normally would really crack a guy's skull didn't have that snap of the weight behind them. When he didn't pick up an equal amount of speed to offset the lack of power, we saw what we saw. And Kaufman should have won. Kaufman definitely should have won. But I don't think anybody's crying robbery because we're all so indifferent. At this point, it didn't really even matter. And it's such a shame. Chris, unfortunately, he's had great moments. He's been an underdog kind of guy all his life. You'd like to see him do better, but I don't want to see it handed to him. And I can't imagine deep in his heart he wants it handed to him either. Where he goes from here, who the hell knows? But one more performance like that, that's it. He's done.
Bottom line for me, he should retire now because, look, at the heavier weight, he's not effective. He's exciting, but he gets hit too often, and he can't really move. And as you saw at the lighter weight, it seemed like the energy was snapped from him. He didn't show any significant amount of sharpness. The speed wasn't there. And he still got hit and put down. So he's at a catch-22. Where does he go?
Yeah. Without that weight, he loses the power, and he didn't gain speed from it. So, he looked great. I mean, I had really, really hoped, as good as he looked, his performance would look that good, and it didn't.
I want to move on.
Before you move on, though, I want to say a couple of things, though. He did spar Kaufman before, so this is a guy that was familiar with his style, right? And I must say, in the first 3 rounds, he was walking down Kaufman, and he did land some pretty nice shots. I mean, he let in with that jab, came up with the overhand right, that it's Chris Arreola style. But I think that Kaufman just was that much better than him, and that's just something that I think. How he set him up for that knockdown was beautiful. I mean, he went to the body first, and he worked his way up to the top, came over the top to the head, boom, beautiful stuff. So I'm just saying that it could also be, you got to give Kaufman some credit for what happened as well,
Yeah, he won the fight. Kaufman won the fight. But this is the thing. If it ain't broke, I fixed it. Chris has been a big dude, right? He's been a big dude the whole of his career. But everyone's telling him he needs to lose weight. this would be better for you, be better in shape. But he's lost the weight, man. He's lost his power. Remember, these are heavyweights, man. The bigger you are, they probably feel more stronger, and that's who he is. He's never going to be who we want him to be. He should be who he is. And I'll be honest with you, he listens to a lot of people, and he's come in, he got himself in tremendous shape, but he's lost the awesome amount of, punch resistance. Because he went down, and he's lucky he got the decision, maybe because he's the bigger name, and he was expected him in the fight. And I think that's what got him on. But at this point, I think he needs to put back on the weight. And I think he needs to have a good fight with Joshua, and then that'll be the end of his career. That's what I think.
If he fights Joshua, it will be the end of his career. No doubt about that.
I'm just saying one thing though. The combination that Kaufman put down on him, it's not every heavyweight don't put that combination down. That was a right hook into a left hook into an overhand right. Heavyweights don't do that, right? They don't do that every day. So I'm just saying that he didn't get put down after that. So I'm just saying that you got to give Kaufman credit. The kid got some skills. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone agreed he won the fight, so he's already got credit already. But what I'm saying is that Arreola can catch up. I think him a fight with Joshua, because he saw that fight, man. He'll come in and this Joshua. He'll bring it same like Dillian Whyte. I think we could do that, man. UK America versus UK. I think they should do it. When I told Eddie, I'm gonna propose that to Eddie when I told him as well. But go ahead, Sean. You want to take something?
I was going to say, I mean, it's more likely Arreola is going to fight Wilder than go to the UK to fight Joshua. But, people are not giving Kaufman the credit he deserves. Like what Jennings said, that guy has skills, and he has fast hands for like a big guy who looks like he's not in shape. I thought Arreola did very well. I don't think he was blown away. It was a tough fight. He did get knocked down, so I gave Kaufman the edge. But, I mean, Arreola had his moments. He was throwing punches. He was catching him. It was a good competitive back-and-forth fight, which is all you want from heavyweight divisions. For these guys, I mean, I think they did exactly what they should do and what they're capable of. They put out a good fight. It was back and forth. They both looked good in the process. I mean, neither of them is elite, but that is what it is. But they're both good competitors, and they're both good, as EJ is saying, good opposition for the elite guys, because we know what they're going to bring. They're tough guys who are going to throw lots of punches, and they're not going to be easy to walk through.
And what I want to see is Kaufman versus, say, a Stervern, because Kaufman got a little slickness in him. He got a little slickness in him.
Andy Ruiz.
There you go, Andy Ruiz Jr. There you go.
Both two slick fighters.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying this is a platform for Kaufman. Nobody knew of Kaufman before this. Now everybody knows Kaufman. They know the switch hitter from Cameroon. I forgot his name now. And
Cassie,
man. Cassie's a really good fighter. Just because what's this dude's name that fought Washington? Amir Mansour knocked him out doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad fighter. You know what I mean? Styles make fights.
I'm gonna go to Sean, and then I'm gonna go back to you. What you need? You can both talk about this doubleheader in Puerto Rico that took place on True TV. Verdejo, the young prospect out of Puerto Rico, is going to second round stoppage of a Brazilian fighter by the name of Dos Santos. And really the best fight on that card, Nonito Donaire, is going to 12-round decision win over Juarez. I'll go to both of you gentlemen. Talk about Nonito Donaire's fight. He won the fight, but to me, that was a fight that Donaire made much harder than it should have been. He knocked for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Donaire looked very good, put him down in round 4. But I don't know what happened to Donaire after that. He stayed too long on the ropes. Okay, you mentioned the knee, but he was still able to move somewhat in that fight. And my issue wasn't just the knee. Look, when you look at Juarez, he was open to be hit all night long up the middle. And Donaire, for some reason, would not take advantage of that. Didn't use his jab enough. Didn't use the straight shots enough. He stopped boxing for some reason, and I just don't understand his performance in a fight. He should have took Juarez out in 6-7 rounds, and yet he stayed on the ropes, playing around too long, for my opinion. And the fight was made hard for him, and he went the distance in a really tough fight. So, Sean, EJ, your thoughts on this?
The problem with Donaire, and I'm a big Donaire fan, But the problem is he doesn't use his boxing skills as much as he should. You know, that's always been his problem. That's why he made it easy for Rigo to beat him, because he never used his jab. Not to say Rigo wouldn't have beat him anyway, but he made it even easier because he never used his jab. You know, in this fight, he's fighting a guy, he wanted to blitz him out. The guy was easy to hit. He was easily ducking and avoiding his counter shots and his punches. For the first 6 rounds, he was easily beating him and hitting him with everything. But the guy's tough. He wasn't going anywhere. And instead of being able to go into a plan B and utilize his boxing skills and jab and make the fight easier for himself, which he should do. But, you know, people have been saying this for a long time. He's become power happy, where he's always looking for the big KO and the big shot. And we can understand, he's fighting a guy who he's supposed to knock out, so he went in there looking for it, and unfortunately he hurt his knee, and then he ended up getting stuck on the ropes, and it became a bit of a war. Showing he's tough and he still has the hunger to succeed, but I mean, making you question his trainers and why he comes in with this mentality. He could use his boxing skill, land those big shots, and make it easy for himself. But what he's doing is just going in there, throwing one big shot, trying to go big power to blow these guys out. And what we saw against this guy wasn't going anywhere. So what was his plan B? People have but I mean, he did hurt himself. The first 6 rounds, he was winning easily, and he was just hitting the guy with everything. But after he hurt his knee, even the 7th round, I thought he won. But after that, I mean, then the guy's pressure started to get to him, started getting him on the ropes, and started to wear him down. I mean, he did what he needed to do to get the victory, but it's unfortunate that he's making these fights harder for himself. Because against elite fighters, it's not going to help him. If he fights Lomachenko next, if he doesn't use his jab and his boxing ability...
Oh, Lomachenko will kill him. He'll go to the body. That body works, man. Yeah, he'll go.
Tries to get a rematch with Rigo, it's also a problem because he doesn't use his jab. He's taller with a longer reach. He needs to be able to use his movement and his jab to like sort of offset Rigo and not just give Rigo the big opportunities to throw counter punches, big counter punches. But, you know, mentally he just, for some reason he just doesn't want to use his jab and he doesn't want to box. And I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
I'll go to you, EJ. Your thoughts about this fight. To Sean's point about Donaire not using his jab enough, not boxing enough. And also, he just got beat down, Donaire, physically by the Axeman not too long ago. And to have this kind of fight at age 33, just not good. Not good at all.
To be honest with you, like, this is the one time you caught me. I haven't seen the fight, but I did see the Verdejo fight. I saw the knockout.
I'll share it with you. Give me a quick second. I'll share it with you.
I was so I don't want it to take my weekend with Andy Joshua and things, so I probably won't watch it. I'm still you know what I mean? I'm being honest with you. It was all UK this weekend, and I was caught up in the whole thing. And I did check out the Marco fight. I just watched it today, and I watched the Arreola fight. And I'll probably get around to it, but I'm still kind of charged up for the film. But I did watch the Fideo knockout. And Felix Verdejo, because I was trying to see Felix Verdejo versus Luke Campbell. I was trying to see how they were gauging it, and I'll still be honest with you, Felix Verdejo is way better than Luke Campbell. And Luke Campbell needs to sit down. But with Donaire, I didn't see it, so I'm gonna have to pass on that one. That's the only
okay, so I'll just open it up to everybody here. The Donaire bout, the Verdejo bout, for anybody here who wants to respond. Your thoughts on it?
Donaire. That did not advance Donaire's cause, that fight. He started off strong, and someone would really have to explain to me and do a lot of explaining why in the world he let himself get trapped on the ropes as many times as he did. Okay, I understand it happening once, but come on. Get out of the... Yelling at the television, for Donaire to get the hell out of the way. It was not the skilled sort of fight a guy that experienced should allow to happen. That's what really concerned me. He should be way smarter than that. And he has been has been marked up and beat up so many times that it takes very little to open cuts on his face and get him bruised And if you saw him talk to top-ranked Cynthia Poncher after the fight, he had a big-ass Elizabeth Taylor pair of sunglasses on his face, and he needed every bit of those glasses to hide the damage because he looked horrible. He's lucky that he's been able to go back down to 122 because he is down there with lesser competition. Because really the only guys in that division right now, right on top of him, are Frampton and Quigg. And to me, I think all Donaire really wants is his Rigo revenge. That's it. He wants that fight. He wants to clear that guy out and call it. I mean, I really can't see any other reason why he's still there. He has all the background, all the connections, all the smarts he needs. I think he's held on to most of his money. He's got his own gym up in the Bay Area. He's very, very well thought of in the Philippines. He could run his own show. He could train. He could commentate. There's a million things he can do that don't involve him being in the ring, having his face busted up like he did. So, and Nonito, I mean, let's think about this for a second. He was Fighter of the Year 3 years ago, and it was a consensus pick. No one else was even close. He is adamantly in favor of drug testing. He's a clean fighter. There's so much to like about him. And then he goes off and has a performance like that. And man, as a fan, it just breaks my heart to see it. Yeah, there are guys that can win, and they don't achieve anything from it. And that was the fight this weekend for Donaire.
I want to open it up about Verdejo, Felix Verdejo. We earlier asked the question, how far off is Anthony Joshua until he's ready to fight the elite at heavyweight? I want to pose that question right now to Felix Verdejo. Now I'll just open it up for everybody here. How far off do you think he is before fighting the elite at 135, for instance? Linares specifically, because he's the best fighter in that division. So thoughts on Felix Verdejo, and this is for anybody who wants to comment.
Verdejo.
I think
You were going to say, Daniel? Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Gail. Ladies first.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Verdejo is closer in his division, in the lightweight division, than Joshua is in the heavyweight division, if that makes sense. He looked good. I think the level of competition is in his specific division not quite as tough. Depends on if he moves up and down a little bit, but I think he's in excellent position where he is right now. If he stays strictly at lightweight, he looked good. It's exactly the kind of performance you want to see.
Daniel, EJ, what you need? Go ahead.
I will say this because I always put things in context. If you look at Dos Santos just came off a knockout loss to Paulus Moses. So, you got to look at everything in perspective. His record's really good, but he came off of getting knocked out, okay? So, and basically the guy's always open for an overhand right, okay? And that's basically what Verdejo caught him with. He threw a jab, and then he threw the overhand right, and the guy went to sleep. So, I mean, you have to put things in perspective when you're thinking about the whole thing. I'm not trying to be a drab or anything. The kid is really good. But I wouldn't say jump him. He does have the Latino title, right? So I wouldn't say just jump him up to the, the top guys, because you know who else did that? They did that with Diego Magdaleno. And what had happened to Diego Magdaleno? He got knocked out, right, by Flanagan. So I wouldn't just step him up just like that. I need him to still step up in his competition. Give him 2 more fights, and then we could talk about see if you can get up to the championship level.
Why not put him in against a Moses, for instance?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Good idea. That's a good step up right there. But I would still look for somebody a little sharper than Moses. But yeah, first one Moses, put him in with Moses, and then put him in with let's see, whoever else is in his lightweight division that's decent. I wouldn't say a Gamboa or somebody like that. Don't put him in with a guy like that. You put him in with somebody like
Moses, for instance. Give him a couple of fights. Put him in against Perez, who just lost the belt.
Okay, yeah. The top guy, former world champ. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. I wouldn't see him. I wouldn't mind fighting him. See a guy who trains literally right up the street from me, Mercito Hesta, who's trying to work his way back up.
Who's Cito Hesta?
Mercito Hesta is a Filipino-born California lightweight who was the next big thing. He was going to be the next big Donaire or Pacquiao, and then had a very bad fight, and he's been kind of working his way back up ever since. He's 29 and 1, I think.
Or better yet, since Ricky Burns has moved back down to lightweight, make a PBC fight with him in another 6 months.
Yeah, that I like. That I like a lot.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's tough though. That's gonna be match stuff though. Burns is big, isn't he? A big lightweight?
He would be, yeah.
He's not that big to me. He's tall. They're both the same height, but he's not that big.
Didn't his last fight be at super lightweight?
Yeah, but okay, he fought Figueroa at 140. But you look at his body.
Does he come in like 150 or 149 on fight night?
I'm not sure what he comes in at on fight night, but you looked at his body against Figueroa. It wasn't like he was the tightest. His body was the tightest at 140.
Right.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah,
he's a big boy though. He's a big boy for lightweight.
And the fact that he's able to move right back down to 135, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Keep himself.
So hey, there you go. I want to get into the news and talk about some news events. The saga over Triple G and Canelo. For those who don't know, I'll just open it up for anybody who wants to comment on it. Gail, Daniel, Jacob, the saga behind trying to make Canelo and Triple G and interim fights in before that fight finally happens and the issues with the WBC. I'll just let y'all respond.
It was expected. This was the expected outcome, I think. Simply because Triple G likes to be active. He wants to do 3 or 4 fights a year. And if you already put Canelo saying put him for Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day, it makes sense for them to do this because then it clears up a couple of things for Triple G. You can make the mandatory his defense with Toriano Johnson. And if by any scenario you can put him in against Andy Lee if he wins and he beats Danny Jacobs, or like I mentioned before, a mandatory versus Danny Jacobs. So there's always situations where coming in and it benefits both guys because it might be a little bit too soon because Canelo I think is still trying to decide in his head whether or not he's actually a junior middleweight or a middleweight. Personally, he's grown to be a full middleweight, so he should fight at that weight limit.
From what I heard, excuse me, Dan, what I heard, he's lifted that stipulation, that catchweight stipulation.
People say no, he lifted the 155. I think people are saying like he wants to do it at like a 157.
Okay.
But at the same time though, here's where it gets a little bit tricky for him. Supposedly now in the interim between those fights, the WBC, like if they don't negotiate quickly, they're gonna do a purse bid. If you do a purse bid, the fight's gonna be at 160. So it may benefit more that the way it was done with this situation where it was WBC, K2, and Golden Boy together deciding on this and saying, okay, we need time to marinate. We have a good working relationship. And we know that this is the fight that people want in the middleweight division. So let's just let it marinate a little bit. Let's let Canelo get one defense. Maybe, like I said, maybe against Rosado, who's going to be fighting Joshua Clottey on Saturday, or maybe against Lemieux. And like I said, and Triple G gets to keep himself active. Like I said, he'll have probably 2 fights already knocked down by then. And
yeah.
In the end, like I said, yeah, and in the end, Golden Boy wins out because Golden Boy will have made 3 or 4 straight fights with Triple G, and that's money to them when it comes to gate, when it comes to merchandising. So it's good business.
And it's important for those two organizations to maintain a good relationship because they also want to present a united front against the PBC and Al Haymon. And they need to make nice between Golovkin and Canelo to make sure they can continue to make nice and good matches for all their other fighters. You know, those are not the only two guys on their roster. And so, you know, the more things work out for everybody, it works out all the way down the line. This is much bigger than those two guys. Those two guys just happen to be at the top of the food chain for both of the organizations. And they want people to, you know, anticipate it. You know, it's that, you know, kids waiting to see Santa Claus come down the chimney. You know, the more we wait, the more excited we get, the more money it generates. You know, we get to talk about it for 9 months. It's all good. It's the smart thing to do. And we have talked on the chat window tonight during the show on and off about how impatient fans are and how unrealistic they are, that these things can just be done with the snap of the fingers. Not only is that unrealistic, it's not really the best thing for boxing. Build it up. Get there. You know, it'll happen. It's perfectly okay if they do it in September, and, you know, it wouldn't really burn my hide if they did it in May of next year, 2017, thinking another year out. That might be a little far, but, you know, I would understand it. And I would love to see Canelo fight Lemieux, because then we will have a competitor in common. I think that's going to be very important to have both of them see competitors in common with each other. So if that can be made to happen over the course of the next year, that makes for an even better fight for all of us.
I think
I couldn't.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I couldn't disagree more with this whole situation. I mean, Triple G had already stepped over because of the Cotto Canelo fight got made, and I think he had some step aside money and whatnot. I mean, as a boxing fan, I mean, I agree with some of the things you said, Gail, but you know what? The fact that we have to wait for somebody that's been waiting for a long time to see the best fights. I mean, I don't think the anticipation can get any greater than it is right now. I think Triple G has a lot of steam behind him. Canelo is as popular as he's ever been, and especially now with that win that he has. And, you know, for Canelo to fight someone like just like Cotto when he fought Gale for, you know, he got a chance at the belt, which Triple G had beat Gale. So that doesn't make sense. And Lemieux, you know, he's going to fight Lemieux or Rosado, other fighters that Triple G has already fought and beat just because they want to make more money. Like, I understand there's a business aspect to this, but as a boxing fan and wanting to see the best fight the best, we have rankings for a reason. You know, the number one should fight the number one contender, and that's how it should be. I know that's not how it is, but as a boxing fan, that's the frustrating part, because a lot of things can happen in between now and then. You know, what if Canelo loses, or, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen, and it's frustrating for me. But I mean, I'm glad that, you know, if it does go like Daniel said, to a purse bid and they would fight at 160, because I'm not convinced that even if the fight does happen in May that or September, that it would, you know, that Canelo has the upper hand. He's gonna, you know, be able to dictate what he wants. He's the draw. There's no doubt about that. Triple G's popular, but Canelo is, you know, I don't know, way more popular than he is. So I don't know. To me, it's frustrating. I'm you know, this guy is trying to accomplish something by unifying the belts. We talk about that all the time. So I'm disappointed.
Well, Jacob, this is the thing, though. When it comes down to it, Triple G wants to be active. And if Triple G doesn't like to wait, you're going to tell him to essentially right now wait a little bit under 6 months for a fight where he wants to be in the gym, be training all the time. That's one of the things that makes sense. One guy wants to remain active. And granted, it's the B-side. I understand it. Triple G understands full well that unfortunately he is the B-side in this equation. So he understands that whatever happens, it has to be in Canelo's terms. But that's the reason why this was most likely expected, because at the end of the day, you would still have Triple G ask most likely for a fight like with Toriano Johnson to clear his mandatory out of it.
And
It's ducking is what it is. It's ducking what it is.
I mean,
Tell us how you really feel, EJ.
I think he's right. He's right.
Canelo's trying to wait him out to Triple G get older and trying to see some crinks in the armor, and then he go, oh yeah, that's it. Now we can make a fight. That's what it is. It's ducking. And the thing is, yeah, like, you know, we're gonna accept it. We don't have to accept it. They should fight right now, right? They don't need to fight a couple of fights right now. Let's have a one undisputed midweight champion. Triple G has earned the right. Yeah, he's done what he needed to do, and let's make the fight. I knew when De La Hoya, they asked De La Hoya after the fight, oh, De La Hoya, yeah, are you going to make the thing? Well, let's see now. But you weren't saying that before the fight. They knocked Cotto's out. See, I blame this on Cotto, yeah, in my opinion. Cotto should have fought Triple G a long time ago, right, and got his beating and went into the sunset. So look what he done now. He's been forced out of the picture. They put Canelo in it, which is probably better, but we're still getting the same thing. Oh, no, we need to wait a bit. You know, we need a couple of opponents. You know, let's build this up. Bullshit, man. This ducking is what it is. This call it is ducking, man. Like Triple G is being ducked.
Preach.
But there's one thing we all have to bear in mind.
But
There's one thing we all need to bear in mind. We're all insiders. We're all hardcore fans. We are the folks that love Golovkin, where the casual fan on the street maybe knows Canelo and probably doesn't have a clue who Triple G is. And there is still some buildup needed heading for that September date. If we know that it's coming in 10 months' time, that's going to be the time they're going to take to hype it, build it, get people interested, get them out on the stage where they can have good performances, and get it to the point where the rest of the world is watching. And that is important for the sport, to get those two guys on a major stage with people watching beyond our little crew. You know, we go down to the corner and watch two taxi drivers fight. You know, let's face it. And then we bitch about it if we don't like it. The rest of the public, you know, is only going to pay attention so much. I think there's another thing they're worried about, making it earlier in the year, having the steam taken out of it. If, God forbid, Floyd does come out of retirement to open up that new arena in Las Vegas. I know.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back.
Reaction shown here. Grab it ahead.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back. You guys don't understand.
I disagree. He's coming back.
He's coming back.
Say what you want. Unless Roger Mayweather is up to speed, and he ain't up to speed, he ain't coming back. He need that power.
You know what? I think as much money as Floyd has,
you can throw as much money at him, he ain't coming back.
If there's enough money on the line, he's coming back.
He's not coming back.
5-0, baby.
I'm telling you, Roger Mayweather is the guy that does pads with him. And Roger Mayweather ain't up to speed. I'm watching Roger Mayweather. He's not the same. So until you guys can
his name is money for a reason.
Thank you. Yes.
You can say what you want. Help come before money.
I agree with you in that sense. What you mean, and that the mid work is important.
A lot of people say Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather would never happen, so you could never say never. But for now, I agree with you. But the thing is, with Triple G and the building of the fight and the fight is never going to get a world stage. The reason why I say that is because they're not crossover stars over here. None of them will come over here. They need to come on to Europe. You need to do a world tour to build that fight up.
He fights in Europe every single year. Now, admittedly, he fights in a 900-seat arena in Monte Carlo, but he is there every year.
Yeah, but the
thing with it, though, is Canelo told Triple G,
wait a minute,
I'm willing to fight you.
What were you going to say? What you need?
I said, Canelo said, I'm willing to fight you at Canelo weight, 155.
Right,
so it wasn't like he didn't duck him. He didn't duck him. He just told him, I will fight you at Canelo weight.
But Canelo can barely make Canelo weight anymore.
That's the funny
thing. It's
thing.
the 160 belt. That's ducking. If you are not fighting for the belt that the championship weight is at, that's ducking. That's bullshit.
No, that's not ducking at all. That's not ducking at all.
Anything above 154 is a middleweight.
Yeah, but
Wait.
But it's a technicality, though, Gail. That's a technicality.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's ducking because you're trying to put someone in the weight where they're uncomfortable, where you're stronger.
So Mayweather ducked Canelo when he told him to fight at 152? No. What I'm saying to you is this. What I'm saying though is this. I agree with you that Canelo respects Triple G's size. He would fight Triple G, but he wants to get as much advantage as he can out of this deal.
Of course, it's stupid not to try. You know, he has the upper hand, and it's smart of him to try. Absolutely.
He's going to get knocked out in a round, yeah. The moment he gets in the ring with Triple G, he's going to get inside 3 rounds. He's
going to have problems. Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to be up inside 3 rounds, and everyone knows it. But the only thing is, how old is Triple G now? I swear he's like 34.
33.
Exactly, 33. He's getting older. They just want to see him get bashed up a bit. Like you said with Terrell Johnson, they want to see him get bashed up a bit. And then they say, yeah, let's make the fight because he's vulnerable. That's what Oscar De La Hoya is up to. And Canelo sits there and eats all them ice cakes and plum cakes and whatever he does. So what's the problem?
Well, I gotta say this.
Hey, I'm on record saying Canelo beats Triple G, whether it's 160, whatever.
I can't wait to take that bet with you.
I'll take that bet any day.
Problem. I'm gonna be collecting.
You're the betting man, EJ. You want to take that bet?
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that bet. Of course.
All right, cool.
I'll take that bet.
Cool.
Yo, if you want to have down the back, if you want to have down the back, man, Canelo ain't beating no Triple G, man.
Good. That's good.
If he would have made that fight straight, he ain't beating no Triple G. And Austin knows as well. They don't want. If they saw Triple G on the same side of the road, they'd cross the road. They don't want no part of Triple G.
Okay,
they want to see him.
Dude,
they don't.
They just want their terms.
I'm on the record as saying Canelo beats Triple G. Watch this. Put me down on the record now.
Oh, we're going to say it right here. December 17th, 2015. What you need to say right here, right now, that Canelo Alvarez would beat Gennady Golovkin. Boom.
Whenever they fight.
Whenever they fight.
How is he going to win? I want to know. Knockout? You call knockout?
Nah, no knockout. But it's going to be a beat. It's going to be a beat down. It's going to be a beat down. Guaranteed.
Beat down to a decision?
Yeah, decision. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see him knocking him out. If anything, the ref will have to stop it if that's how it goes. I'll see him knocking out Triple G.
Hey, Triple G is a proper, strong middleweight. The moment he touches him, he's doomed. He's doomed, man.
Correct.
Come on, man. Floyd hurt Canelo with a couple of punches. Floyd's not no middleweight.
Little Cotto hurt Canelo. Little Cotto had Canelo on wobbly legs.
Serious? What you need, man? Come on. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Guys talking about, but I'm saying I'm serious. I'm going down with that.
I'm sure you are.
If Golden Boy believed
the second Triple G puts one of his patented left liver shots to Canelo, he'll feel like he got tased, bro. It'll be done.
What the skull punch? The skull punch, Triple G.
That too, yeah.
That's just a hook. That's a short enough hook. That's like a hook to the body. It's the extended hook. There's a short enough hook.
I call it the skull punch. He hits on the top of the skull, yeah. When he hits, the whole of Triple G's hair is gonna fall off, man. It's over, man. I'm telling you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, that was quite a doozy. Let's move on to Pacquiao in the sweepstakes for his next opponent. Apparently, Bud Crawford is out of the Pacquiao sweepstakes. I'm gonna go to you what you need because we talked about this before the show again, and you had a reason that you're glad that Crawford is out of the sweepstakes. And I want you to explain why.
All right. Now, I'm a Pacquiao fan, all right? I'm going to be real with you guys, all right? Crawford's scary, man.
Yeah.
I don't want my boy Pacquiao to go out like that. I don't care what other people say. I want Pacquiao to go out with integrity, with dignity, fighting somebody who's got a reputation, and he could win that fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight against Crawford, but it's a dangerous fight, okay?
No. Why do we have to have that fighters going out in style like Roy Jones? Get your beating and leave the sport. Man, look, they need to get the beating and get the hell out of it.
EJ, you're not a Pacquiao fan, so it doesn't matter, okay? I'm a Pacquiao fan, right?
No one deserves to leave the sport.
You say what you want, bro.
No one deserves to leave the sport if you win, because look beatings Pacquiao. Pacquiao messed up and Margachito's eyes. He knocked out. Damn, he killed Ricky Hatton. You know what I'm saying? Like no one needs to come out this sport looking good. You need to get your beating.
Keep it up there, keep it up there.
I disagree with that because look, Rocky Marciano left the sport undefeated. My boy Ricardo Lopez left the sport undefeated. Floyd Mayweather left the sport undefeated, right?
They're lucky. If they stay there longer, they won't get their ass whipped.
But Manny Pacquiao ain't trying to stay longer. He's trying to leave. So why you gotta give him a beating with a young buck from a new era? That ain't making no sense, man.
Who said he's trying to leave? He's got debt problems. Who said he's trying to leave? Bob Aaron's
he's trying to leave.
Well, he should try to leave, EJ. To what you need point, he should try to leave. I thought he should have left after the Mayweather defeat.
All right. So if he goes anywhere, who gonna pay off the debts? Who gonna pay off the taxes? Who gonna pay off the taxes?
That's what it was. The Maypac fight handled that.
Right.
No, he didn't. Put
it this way, it was supposed to handle that. It was supposed to handle that.
Well, all I'm saying is, it didn't hinder it.
Bob Aaron took back the money he gave Pacquiao, and that's why he's still fighting. Why do you think he's still fighting? He's still fighting and trying to find an opponent who's not going to make him back. So they're looking at the Bradley fight, which is probably, he ain't going to get hurt in that fight. We might lose or whatever. But they're trying to make money to pay.
I'm not saying he wouldn't get hurt in the Bradley fight. I'm just saying don't put him in a killer. Shoot. What? The man has spent his whole career. He's done so much for boxing. What do you put him in with a Merc machine for? I don't like that.
All right. What about De La Hoya when he fought Pacquiao that time? Pacquiao was on top. And then we got De La Hoya beaten up.
That was De La Hoya's fault. He owned his own promotional company. He wanted to beat up on the young the little Pacquiao.
Listen, when you step for them ropes, when you step for them ropes, you ain't ready. Don't step through the rope. Everyone deserves to get a beat down. Terrence Crawford should give Pacquiao his just due beating, in my opinion.
That's because you don't like Pacquiao. I love Pacquiao. That's my boy.
I like Roy Jones, but I knew Enzo was gonna beat him. Ain't nothing to do with it. I ain't biased against no one. I knew Enzo Magnani was going to beat down Roy Jones. I put money on that fight. I won my money.
Well, that's an unfair comparison, EJ. That's an unfair comparison.
Yeah, because Roy Jones is trying to get the cruiserweight title. Pacquiao ain't got nothing to prove.
No, we're assuming that Crawford is going to beat Pacquiao, and I assume Enzo was going to beat Roy Jones. It's a good comparison. I'm trying to say
no, it's not because let's just stick on Roy Jones. Look, he got knocked out by Tarver. He got knocked out by Tarver.
Exactly.
Followed that, he got knocked out by Johnson. Then he keeps on fighting. He keeps on fighting. He keeps on fighting.
Anybody Green.
Right. Anytime he faces, that's a bad comparison because Roy Jones should have retired a long time ago. He's been knocked out too many times for him to keep holding on like this. It's a wrong-headed comparison.
Listen, if Pacquiao goes against Crawford, there's a good point he can get knocked out and he's definitely going to get schooled. It's a good comparison. He's going to get knocked out or he's going to get schooled. Roy Jones was going to get knocked out and he got schooled. I mean, what? There's a comparison right there.
Roy Jones wants to stay in boxing. Pacquiao's trying to leave.
Pacquiao's on his way out. Roy Jones is done. Is way out. I'm trying to say to you, the beating's coming. My point is, you knew they're going to get beat.
And my point is that Roy Jones is too stubborn to learn his own lesson from keep getting knocked out. I don't want to see that with Pacquiao again.
Exactly, me too.
I'm saying, why not? Listen, you don't leave this sport how you want to leave the sport. The sunshine. Ask Marvin Hagler.
Well, Floyd Mayweather left the sport how he wanted to leave the sport. Why can't Pacquiao?
Girls still believe he's coming back, and a lot of people believe he's coming back. Yep. And he's beating.
They can believe whatever they want.
He's beating us around the corner. If he comes back in through the ropes, he's beating us around the corner. I'm trying to say, anyone who stays, listen, this game is a dangerous game. Anything could happen to you. Yeah, when you get your money, leave. If you got tax problems, you can't go nowhere. Pacquiao's gonna keep fighting until you have to pay off the taxes, and that ain't gonna be for a while. That's my point, man.
My point is this: he has options. He could fight Timothy Bradley. He could fight Amir Khan. He could fight Terrence Crawford. Making no sense going and fighting Terrence Crawford when you could fight Timothy Bradley for the WBO welterweight championship. You're gonna go down to
what you need on this one. I'm gonna bring Daniel, Jacob, and Gail into this. I'm with what you need on this one. You don't mess with that young lion like that. No.
That guy will murk you, man. He could permanently kill him. He could kill him in the ring. You just never know. This is dangerous sport.
I get that you're a Pacquiao fan. What you need, but what that scenario is perfect for Bob Arum, because then Bob Arum says, I have my new era.
Yeah.
Big guy, strong guy, and he vanquished my old guy just like the guy that he did to De La Hoya. But the problem is, unfortunately, because Crawford is now out of the sweepstakes, he's going to be fighting, I think, in February. Verdejo's going to be on the card, too, and Madison Square Garden in the theater room. It opens up the case, unfortunately, for the worst-case scenario to me. The worst-case scenario to me, unfortunately, is Maypac 2. It opens it up for that, unfortunately, because it's true.
And it is a possibility.
It's true in a sense. Arum wants to fight in that new MGM arena. And
MGM and Mayweather are in bed together. They have been for a decade, and they would love nothing more than to see Mayweather get that magical 50th victory to open that arena.
Ain't gonna happen.
A crazy amount of money. Crazy amount of money.
Doesn't matter. It's not gonna happen.
And no, you got to think about this too when it comes to Pacquiao's pride. Like, his pride was probably hurt a lot by the fact that he did not get out of that fight knowing he was hurt.
Right.
And then having to say afterwards that he was hurt, let's be frank, it pissed a lot of people off.
Well, not only did it piss people off, it also set up a scenario where a lot of people said, I don't believe him. I think he's bullshitting because he lost. So this is his excuse. So it cut two different ways with Manny, and both of them were bad.
Yep. So why not make a? So that's why, unfortunately, the worst case scenario to me is open. Why not try to see that saying, I'm coming in 100%. You're gonna see 100% healthy, and I'm gonna get all the Skip Baylesses of the world happy.
That's
Bayless is irrelevant. Don't mention him on my show.
And then Floyd's gonna do the same thing that he did in the last fight, and you're gonna wind up in the same scenario. Because quite frankly, the Bradley fight would only make sense if you want to pay Bradley. If you want to pay Bradley what he deserves, that's the fight he should make.
Yeah.
Khan is only open if he actually has the autonomy that he claims over Heyman.
Which,
I don't believe he has that autonomy.
I don't think he does either, because he's not a big enough commodity.
Yeah. So in
He's
reality,
not even a pay-per-view star. He has done no pay-per-view.
Right. Khan would only gain that sort of pull if he fought Kell Brook, they could fill Wembley, and he won.
That's
and that
right.
ain't
he
happening.
won't do it. For some reason, he won't do it, and that's why he doesn't deserve a Pacquiao. That's why he doesn't deserve a Floyd fight.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. He should have made that fight months ago. Months ago.
Years ago.
Or Porter fight.
A year ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's
Now-
bring Jacob. I was going to say, excuse me, Gail. Let's bring Jacob into this because we hadn't heard his opinion. So, your thoughts, Jacob?
I think that, I actually think that Pacquiao has a good shot of beating Crawford. I think a lot of people are counting him out because of the way he looked against Mayweather. But Mayweather, I mean, I can't stand Mayweather, but there's no denying the guy's skills. And he made Pacquiao look terrible in that fight. And I don't think he was injured either. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. But possibly Arum, it's a win-win for him because Pacquiao does have some money troubles, and with all boxers, it's hard for them to walk away from the sport. It seems like this happens all the time. It's very rare when somebody walks away from the sport at the right time. I mean,
Mayweather will.
Well, I don't even want to get into that because I think he's coming back. But we all know how you feel about that. But we'll see what happens.
Hey, man.
If he doesn't come back in May, then
It's good to hope
I
and
agree.
it's a good to hope and wish, but it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I didn't think the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight was going to happen, and it did. So anything could happen. But anyway, back to the point.
Ain't gonna happen.
Pacquiao wins the fight. If Pacquiao wins the fight, that could entice. He would win a belt, right? That can entice him to go for one last fight, which Arum would love, right? It's just more, keep these guys fighting and fighting. I'm not saying that Arum doesn't care about Pacquiao, but it is a business, and if he can stretch out another Pacquiao fight, I wouldn't put it past Arum that's a possibility. He wins either way. Crawford wins, he's got his new young dog. Pacquiao wins, he's got a guy that still has it, depending on how he wins also. But he has a guy that still has it and has a belt.
And it's less face if he loses Pacquiao, it's being used as a stepping stone by Arum. I don't like that.
But that's
why don't you like that?
I'm sick and tired of great fighters, Hall of Fame fighters, being thrown out in the pasture that way.
Like Cotto. I didn't like what they did, Cotto.
Yeah, but there's always an up and coming fighter. Someone's gonna be a stepping stone for somebody. That's the evolution of the sport.
They have people around them to tell them no. They stop listening to them no. They listen to the yes man. And Cotto done it to himself, doing that stinking catch weight. He's an embarrassment to the midweight division and an embarrassment to the midweight. He embarrassed himself.
But they did him on the scorecards though. They did him, man.
Pacquiao and Freddie to their catch weight and their catch weight bullshit. They got caught. They're getting caught out. Like Pacquiao gets beat up, then so be it. But Pacquiao beats Crawford. Wow, can you imagine he beats Crawford? Man, after that he should have retired. So you're right. And they gamble. They're gonna roll the dice, and I agree. Roll the dice and let him go in there. Let him go out. Let him go out on his shield and fight another great fight. If he loses, fine. But if he wins, all the credit will go to Pacquiao, and he'll redeem himself. And I think it's a good look.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, if he would, this is the thing, unfortunately, when it comes to business-wise. That's why I think Arum pushed for Crawford to not fight him in this much. Everyone agrees. There is a chance that Pacquiao beats him. And if Pacquiao beats Crawford, and it does it convincingly, and just says, okay, now I'm off to the sunset, you leave top-ranked rudderless. Because you just knocked out their top dog, and as much as we love Verdejo, Verdejo's not ready. Oscar Valdez isn't ready. Zuda Ramirez isn't ready to take that mantle. So you leave top rank with at least a 6 months to a year where they can be rudderless.
And
I disagree.
Bradley's pretty much on his way out too.
There's the postal fight. There's loads of fight. There's a Broner fight. There's loads of fights for him. Losing one fight doesn't leave you. You just got
Postal 60 years.
Pacquiao did Mayweather, and that doesn't mean we're not saying that we're still holding him in a regard. I mean, he's still one of the best fighters of his era.
Exactly.
A loss doesn't mean ultimate destruction of a promotion. I don't feel that.
I agree 100%. I'm not saying that Pacquiao doesn't beat Crawford and all of that. I know Pacquiao's wily and tricky. I'm just talking about the danger factor of going down to 140 pounds that he hasn't done in 8 years. He's going to be fighting on Crawford's terms. I don't like that. If Crawford goes
Oscar De La Hoya did. He done that. He was at 154 for the longest, and he came down to 147. Why can't Pacquiao get his dust desserts? What's going on here?
You don't like Pacquiao, so you could go ahead and say that. I understand you.
You know what you need. You know what it is. What you need. You know what it is. I don't like the idea. Is like he can't get what happened to. He done it to De La Hoya. De La Hoya did it. De La Hoya done it to Chavez maybe, and it goes on in boxing. It's been happening. It's not because I don't like no one. I'm saying take your beating or quit. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like
the nice thing about Pacquiao is he has options. That's what I'm saying.
What options where? Which is Pacquiao's a pay-per-view star. Which
could you show him the card again? Just show him the card you got.
Yeah, I know the Bradley fight.
That one?
Yeah.
What? Bradley? The Bradley fight, right?
Yeah.
I know. I said that was gonna happen anyway.
Badly.
I said the Bradley fight was gonna happen anyway. I mean, I ain't got nothing. What you need, Jay. You can't assume that I don't like the fight. It's nothing to do with that. I'm just saying. I saw what happened with Oscar De La Hoya after the years of what Oscar De La Hoya did for boxing, and you see Oscar De La Hoya getting his ass whooped up by this short little guy. I didn't like it. And you know what I mean? Now Pacquiao is in the same position where he should retire. But if he ain't gonna retire, lose to a good fighter, a great fighter, and if he wins, great. If he loses, then so be it. That's what I'm saying, man. Ain't nothing good this like. I just don't like end of the day. One rule for one fight, one rule for another. That's all I see.
Well, here's the thing. Oscar chose to fight Pacquiao, and Pacquiao happened to be, at that time, the A side. So that Pacquiao called the shots back then. But with this case, you can't say Terence Crawford's the A side. He's not. He's up and coming. He hasn't established himself like Pacquiao was established in the lower weight classes and did all that crazy stuff.
If Pacquiao doesn't want the fight, he could just retire now without fighting. If he doesn't want to fight, he can retire now without fighting.
I'm not saying he doesn't want to fight, but if you got an option, you got Timothy Bradley, you got Amir Khan, you may have a fight with somebody else, right, in your division, and then you got Terrence Crawford. You're not going to gain nothing by beating Crawford. To you, the name. He's going to make a name off of you. Whereas you can fight Timothy Bradley, who already got a respectable resume, is in the weight class you're in, has done a lot. If you lose to Timothy Bradley, no shame in that. I mean, but, like, it just don't make no sense to me to go fight a younger fighter on the upswing so he can make a name off of you. I just don't make no sense.
No, but he can win this fight, and he can make a name for. I mean, he can go off with a win. That's to beat Crawford, and depending how he beats him, if you were to like knock him out or something like that, or beat him up bad, it would be a really good win for him. I mean, he's already
but you're still going with a big if. You have to look at risk versus reward. Timothy Bradley is a good risk versus reward. No, just because he's retiring, you should be careful.
Hey, none of us are his promoters. Put him in there and let's see him get his beating. That's what they put him in there. We ain't no promoter.
Whether it's Bradley.
Pacquiao's a fighter. Pacquiao's a fighter. It's not, you keep saying that, yeah, and I keep telling you. It's nothing to do with that. I'm a fight fan, yeah. I'm not no promoter. I ain't got no one's money interest. Put him in there
challenge himself.
Exactly. Pacquiao's been known to fight the very best. Now, Bradley, if he fights Bradley's on the upswing. Khan's on the upswing. There's no easy fight, man. If he goes against Khan, you think that's an easy fight? It's not an easy fight.
My point is risk versus reward. Why are you going to lose all that weight? Why are you going to lose all that weight? Go down to 140 for a dude who's a merkin killer, and then you have the risk of being comatose for the rest of your life because you lunge in all the time.
I think you're making leaps. You're making leaps.
A little bit too much credit there.
My question is still this: whether it's Bradley, whether it's Crawford, whether it's Amir Khan, what if he was to win? It still wouldn't overweigh what he just came off of from Mayweather.
That's right.
It's absolutely.
It still wouldn't. So what's the point of him continuing to fight on? That's why I say I don't want to see him fight again.
But it's up to the fighter that wants. If he wants to challenge himself, and that's a goal for him to beat a young fighter, let him do it.
Of course.
This is the sport. This is the sport.
Absolutely.
But here's the problem.
I'm being very.
It's the same problem that we have with Triple G. Crawford is not well known enough to bring in the revenue to generate the kind of purse they need to pay Pacquiao. He won't get enough money. And Top Rank isn't negotiating against, Heyman or Hearn or K2. They're negotiating against themselves. They're the same guys. Have you ever had an accident or something and the person you're tangling with has the same insurance company as you? What it means is they don't want to pay either one of you. Well, that's the problem we've got with Top Rank. They have to pay both ends of the deal. And that is not, business-wise, not feasible for them. So
he's made them enough money, though, that he deserves to get paid for this last fight.
You know what? Hey, we can say he's deserving, but how many times have we talked about, in business, somebody being deserving, and it's what have you done for me lately?
And how do we know that Pacquiao has really been paid?
Well, we don't. Right. We don't.
That's the whole
conspiracy. Think about this. Crawford's last few fights have all been in his hometown in Omaha. Omaha is not Las Vegas. Omaha is not New York, and it sure as hell isn't any other big arena. They could do it in Macau for that matter. And Pacquiao's a huge draw there. There's huge money in it there. And they don't give a shit whether he lost to Mayweather. If they stage it in Macau, it's worth a fortune. They could put anyone in against him. And I think
stage it in the Philippines.
Whether you're disturbed by the business part of it and you're really just interested in the sports aspect, you do have to consider how the business side of the sport drives these decisions, and we have to be realistic about it. You don't have to love it, but that is how it works.
I'm just interested in the fighter's health.
We're talking over each other here, so one person at a time. We're talking over each other here. One person at a time.
I'm just saying, no one's no doctor, no one's no promoter. We give our perspective, and this is all great. But what the thing is, we're fight fans first and foremost, yeah. And these are the fights. If you're gonna fight, you know these are winnable fights. You should fight, and Pacquiao could sell anything out. You know, people want to see Pacquiao. You could put Pacquiao against anyone to sell. So really and truly, Aaron, you're right in that they're making in-house money with in-house fighters, but against Crawford is a dangerous fight. Against Amir Khan, a dangerous fight, and definitely with Tim Bradley. You know, Tim Bradley's gonna change his strategy with the firemen on his back. The firemen are coming. What the firefighters do? Teddy Atlas is going to bring a different game fight. These are all hard fights for Pacquiao. But the thing is, if you don't want to fight this fight, then you should retire. But you're not going to retire because you have tax problems. And then we're going to continue to see these guys fight. And if they get in the ring, then boy, whatever happens, happens. Right? When Roy Jones got beat up, I ain't seen no one say, Roy, don't get in the ring. We all sat there and watched Roy Jones. Down goes Jones. Down goes Jones. Yeah, so, you know, that's the way it is. Simple as that.
Gail, then you what you need to finish this discussion off.
I got my fire extinguisher right here. I think we're going to see Pacquiao Bradley 3. It makes the most sense. And you can mark that as my prediction tonight.
And finally, what you need?
I'm just saying, as a fan of Pacquiao and as a person who likes fighters' health, even though Roy Jones Jr. picked his own path, he picked that. I'm not against him. If Pacquiao picked Terrence Crawford, I'm not against him. You know what I'm saying? But if he's bucking and he's saying he's seeing what I'm seeing and he decides Timothy Bradley, I'm totally with him, man. I'm with Timothy Bradley all the way. You understand what I'm saying? That's all I gotta say.
Let's move on to the final news before we begin to shut the show down, previewing what's coming up this weekend. Announcements for the 2016 International Boxing Hall of Fame has come out, and the headline name of that group is the late Hector Camacho Sr. For those who don't know, and I don't know why if you're not even a casual boxing fan over the last 30 years, Camacho, 3-time world champion at junior lightweight, and junior welterweight. First won the world title in '83 over Bazooka Limon. In '85, he went up in weight and beat Jose Luis Ramirez. Went up to junior welterweight, won a title too. Had numerous big fights over his career. Chavez, De La Hoya, Greg Haugen, Rosario, Duran. At one time, Vinny Pazienza, Mancini. At one time, Macho Camacho was thought to be the real future of the sport. For me, he lost it all. His mental edge in the Rosario fight where he won in 86, but he got hurt twice in that fight, and he was never the same again, in my opinion. Also, I must mention also that Lupe Pintor, former bantamweight champion in the 70s and early 80s, was also nominated for the Boxing Hall of Fame, as well as Hilaro Zapata, who was a champion at flyweight, junior flyweight and flyweight. So I'm going to just open it up for everybody here. Talk about the new class for the 2016 Hall of Fame, headlined by the Macho Man, Hector Camacho. And this is where anybody can comment.
It's a good little group, and I'm always glad to see some of the smaller weight division fighters getting their due. Also, along with the fighters we have in the non-competition categories, Harold Letterman, who has now been acting as HBO's unofficial ringside scorer, get inducted as well. So it's interesting. It's a small but mighty group this year.
And I must mention Lupe Pintor. Look, he won the bantamweight title in '79, I believe, in very controversial fashion against Zarate. But his fight with Wilfredo Gomez in '82, December '82, on the undercard of Hearns and Wilfredo Benitez. Look, if Barrera Morales won, or Barrera McKinney in '96, if those aren't the greatest fights at 122, then certainly Pintor and Gomez was in December '82 in New Orleans. Just a fantastic fight. I would urge anybody who listens to this show live or will listen to a podcast later on just go to YouTube and watch that fight. Just a fantastic fight. And again,
and that was a 14th round knockout.
Right.
And guess who one of the judges was? And I must admit, I didn't recall this. I had to read it. Harold Letterman.
Harold Letterman, yes.
One of the judges. Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting circle for this group being inducted. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. So yeah, Daniel, what you need. Jacob comments on this new class for the 2016 International Boxing Hall of Fame.
I'm sad. Unfortunately, I'm sad that Macho Camacho, like Arturo Gatti, is not going to be there to give a speech for this one because his career was really good. He became really good with his style, and people like some of the outfits he had. In fact, like when you see Showtime, you see the outfit still Hector Macho Camacho when he wears the little helmet. And he has a star for his trunks.
I mean, shit. Before Prince Ahmed, it was Macho Camacho.
Yeah, that was the thing. He was flamboyant. He was a showman, and that's what he brought into the ring. And like I said, I'm just really sad, unfortunately, that he's not here. Like Arturo Gatti, he's not here to give his reflection upon being inducted among other greats in the sport. And like Pintor, like I said, you mentioned a really good fighter there. The non-participatory ones, Harold Letterman, like I said, all deserved it. And I think you forgot this one. Colonel Bob, I think Colonel Bob got admitted to this year as well.
Bob Sheridan, the Colonel?
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot. I omitted his name. I apologize for that.
Yeah, Colonel Bob, like I said, it's a very deserving class. And
Colonel Bob is so pro fighter, man. That man is so pro fighter. I like him. Kiss butt a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's all it is to me. Like, I'm just really sad that we're not going to see, like I said, a good speech by Hector Macho Camacho.
And you know, Hector Macho Camacho, he knocked out Sugar Ray Leonard as well. People don't talk about that.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, he got Sugar Ray Leonard. That was like one of his biggest names in there. The first guy to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. And
qualified now. 40-year-old Leonard who was coming out of a 7-year retirement.
True.
Oh, man, you should step in the ring. You should step in the ring. If Mike Tyson stepped in the ring and I beat him, I got Mike Tyson on my resume. Don't get in the ring. I got no mercy for no one. Like, you don't get in the ring, you won't get your ass beat. But hey, the thing is, really bothers me is that they put people in the Hall of Fame as soon as they die, it's like, oh yeah, let's put him in there. Well, what? When he was alive, they weren't thinking of putting him in. He was out of boxing for many years. Actually, he was still fighting in 2005, actually, with him and his son. But they should have, for me, they should have put him in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, man. They should have put him a long time ago while he was alive. And I agree, they go wait for the guy to be dead before they put him in.
Well, to be fair, one of the rules of the Boxing Hall of Fame, you have to be officially retired for 5 years in order before you retire. So.
It was over that. What I'm saying to you is that Prince Nassim Hamid, he took copy his style from Hector Macho Camacho. Blatantly got his style from him. And he ain't ashamed for it. The same hairstyle, the same flamboyant trunks, everything. Hector Camacho is a one of a kind, but everything about him is that some of the big fights, he kind of in the Chavez fights and some of the fights where people thought he was going to win, he didn't happen. So he's definitely Hall of Fame. I'm happy he's on the card. Like, it's a shame that he wasn't alive to receive the award, because it would have been a great speech to hear him say, to see how happy he was to get. Maybe his son will probably, Hector Camacho Jr. will probably talk for his dad. So that's my take on that.
And I'll go to you, Jacob, and what you need your thoughts, not just on Camacho, but particularly Zarate, not Zarate, Pintor as well. Jacob, what you need?
Yeah, I think I think most people said what I'm kind of thinking. It's a nice class that they have in. It's unfortunate that when boxers aren't able to kind of see the fruits of their labors and be recognized for the accomplishments that they have. But I mean, that's kind of how life is. But I like this. I like this class of fighters this year. Again, the other people.
What you need?
I just want to make a modern day comment about Flamba. He was the original bad boy of Macho Camacho was the original bad boy. Outside of the ring, this guy, he was a bad boy. He used to carry, he used to pack and stuff. But and he used to live a crazy life. But a lot of fighters did. But the thing that I really liked about him was this, that he's kind of like a template again, outspoken boxer. You know, you could say also Floyd Mayweather borrowed some stuff from him. You know what I mean? Him and Duran. You know, so what I wanted to say was Billy Joe Saunders reminds me a little bit about him, because you know he's southpaw as well. Saunders reminds me a little bit about him. Camacho wasn't really a power puncher. He was a boxer, beautiful boxer at that. And Saunders, you know, he kind of reminds me of the way how Camacho used to do his thing. Of course, Camacho's a lot more advanced and, you know, in certain areas and with certain things he did. But, you know, I mean, I just wanted to say two more things. I know that Chavez beat him, right? Chavez beat him, but besides Chavez, this guy had a lot of big fights which he won. I mean, Felix Trinidad also beat him. And another thing about him I liked was he never was knocked out in his career. Nobody ever knocked him out, showing his defense. And he knew how to, at least, you know, if he was badly hurt, he knew how to make his way out of a round. So I thought that was just something really special about him when I watched him fight. I never really I never got to see him live, and I can't really recall too many of his fights because I was young, but I remember his bad boy nature. He was a real bad boy, you know. That was the thing about him.
He was a knockout artist. He ain't like, I know you give Big Joe Saunders, but you're talking about when he was a lighter at the higher weights.
Yeah, higher weights. Yeah, higher weights.
He was a knockout artist, man. He was a knockout artist at the lower weights, man.
Early on, not so much later on.
When he was when he was a super featherweight champion, he was a knockout artist, bro.
Yeah.
He was knocking everywhere. He know that no Billy Joe Saunders, man. Billy Joe Saunders, nah.
Well, Billy Joe Saunders is a middleweight too. You're right.
Well, wait a minute.
Camacho's kind of speed was more like a Mayweather.
Yeah, Camacho, he had speed. He had a lot of speed. He had power. But I wouldn't necessarily call him a knockout artist per se.
Nah, he wasn't. But in super featherweight, he was knocking out everybody though. He was
at the super featherweight, yes, he was.
No. Let's look now. Wait a minute. I have to push back against that. Look at Camacho in his early fights. A lot of those fights were fought at above 130. Matter of fact, when he beat Lemon, his last 5-6 fights prior to that was at 135. He moved down to 130 to get the fight against Lemon because he was a #1 contender. Well, technically, Chacon ducked him. Bobby Chacon ducked him. He stopped Lemon. Let me finish though, EJ. He boxed Lemon. He knocked out Lemon. He knocked out his initial first opponent. And then after that, he moved right back up to lightweight because he had issues making the weight. So he was
he was still knocking everybody out at those lower
he wasn't knocking. But my point is, he wasn't knocking everybody out. He wasn't.
Yes, this is my point.
At super featherweight, he was.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But when he fought higher weight, that's my point. When he fought out the weight, he wasn't the same. I'm trying to say to you, at super featherweight, he was a knockout artist at that weight, man. The guy was better. And the thing is, people would love to see that fight, Floyd Mayweather and Hector Camacho at super featherweight. That fight would have been wicked. That fight would have been sick. He was a knockout. That way, he was dangerous. Seriously.
He was knocking everybody. He was leveling everybody in super featherweight. I recall that.
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm going to say.
But he was saying that he was a big super featherweight, probably.
No, he wasn't. Not particularly. He wasn't. But what I'm trying to say to you is that's why he's a Hall of Famer. He's a freeweight champion, and he beat the first guy to have on his record. Regardless of how old they were, they shouldn't step in the ring. They should have been retired. Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, and people had Leonard the favorite in that fight. They didn't think Hector Camacho was going to beat him. No, they didn't. So
and he also beat Edward Rosado, Boza Edwards, Howard Davis, Boom Boom Mancini, Vinny Banzienzo, Greg Hogan. Remember Greg Hogan? He beat a lot of people, man.
Yeah, well, okay. I have to look this up. I'm looking this up right now because, his first 3 fights, 130, right? And then starting from April 1981 up until he won the belt in '83, He only had 2 fights technically at 130 pounds. 3 fights, excuse me. So, again, to my point, he was a lightweight who moved down to get the belt.
Yeah.
And a lot of those fights were over the fight. 133, 134,
He was big.
135, 132.
I was saying he was big.
When it was at 130, anything stepped in the ring, he took out. That's the point. That's it. The way
And my point is, he only had a handful of fights at that weight before he officially won the belt.
Yeah, and when he was there, he knocked everything out. That's why it was so dangerous. They didn't want to fight him. That's why he moved up.
And even that, you know, March 81, win decision 6. May 81, win decision 6. June 81, win decision 8. November 81, win decision 10. Followed that next fight, a decision win in 12.
That was at lightweight, though.
That was at junior lightweight. Blaine Dixon, look it up.
What you said?
Blaine Dixon, look it up.
Yeah, but the one you talked about in November, that was at lightweight. Anthony Murray was at lightweight.
No, I mean before. I meant before that. Okay, he got that September, but 2 fights later, win decision. You know, then he moved up 133, 132. Rojas, he got a KO over that. Next fight, he was at 132, then 131, then 132. Then he moved back down 130 and a half, 134, 134. Then he fought Solis. He fought Lamone at 130, then 129 against Solis. So my point is, okay, you can say he was at 130 knocking everybody. He only had a limited number of fights. So he really wasn't technically a junior lightweight. He was more of a lightweight who was moving up and up. He got the title opportunity. He moved back down.
Listen, my point is,
that's a good point. Right?
When he was fighting them dudes at 130, they went to sleep. Yeah, and that's why he was moving up and down the weights, because they didn't want to fight him. That's my point. And he's a Hall of Famer, and that's what we was talking about. This is why he's a Hall of Famer. Hector Camacho was the real deal, and he deserves
I don't think, like I said before, I don't think he was a knockout artist, because what I used to see at super lightweight and at welter and at super welter and then middleweight, where he finally ended, is he could box. That ninja could box, man. He remind me of this boy, I tell you, Billy Joe Saunders. He remind me of Saunders could box. That must.
And that weight class with no guy could box, but he got power, man. There is power in weight classes, man. Violent. Trust me, bro. Man is sleeping. Hey, bro, it is what it is, isn't it? But as you go up, like anything else, you lose power. Unlike Manny Pacquiao, when you go up, you get more stronger. But that's another argument. Let's move on.
Let's talk about the fights this weekend. Tomorrow night, Denis Shafikov is fighting Barthelemey for a belt at 130. And I'll just open up here quickly since we pressed for time. Your thoughts on that fight? Anybody can chime in. Jacob, Daniel, what you need?
What was the fight?
Shafikov and Barthelemey that's happening tomorrow night for the belt at 135, for a belt at 135. Or is no one interested?
I'm interested, but
I gotta fire up my camera here. There we go. Frankly, that's gonna be, okay. Not a barn burner fight. But I advise you to keep an eye on the undercard fight with a guy named Murat Gassiev. Gassiev is a Russian who is now a protege of Abel Sanchez. He's undefeated, and he looks a whole lot like a little baby Triple G. He moves like him, he tucks his chin like him, he uses the left hook to the body like him, and it's no coincidence. He's got that coming forward style that Abel likes to encourage in his guys, and he's only 21 years old. So he's awkward, but he's going to be good. So I advise you, watch Murat Gassiev, and you can say you knew him when. He's the co-feature tomorrow.
Yeah, with Isaiah Thomas. That's going
to be the good fight of the night. That's going to be the
Detroit fighter. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I asked Abel about him after his Gassiev's fights are all on YouTube. If you want to see him.
Isaiah Thomas, this is Lakers card. The Mayweather fight, Mickey Bay. Mayweather's got his fighters in that card as well. Is this Isaiah Thomas? Is he a Mayweather fighter?
Yeah.
Is he?
No, I don't know if he's a Mayweather fighter, but I do know that they're looking at him because he's been on cards with them.
Yeah, and this is a Fox. He was on Fox Sports 1 the last time he fought Gassiev. When I saw Sanchez in the lead up to the fight at Triple G's fight at Madison Square Garden, I asked him about Gassiev, and I said, "Yeah, he's been watching Gennady in the gym a lot, hasn't he?" And he just laughed. He just laughed, and he said, "Oh, he's young, but I like him. You know, he in his quiet way, Abel's very high on this kid, and I can see why. He's got a lot of skills."
Isaiah Thomas is a Mayweather fighter. But the thing is, he ain't got no knockouts. He got 15 fights. 150 fights with 6 knockouts, and that Gassi guy, he's got 22 fights, 22 wins with 16 knockouts. So he definitely could hit, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. In fact, there is a clip of Gassiev hitting the big bag with nothing but just left hook body shots. Damn. Just watching it makes you grab your side. He hits that hard. It's impressive.
But don't count out Thomas because Thomas can box pretty well.
No, you know what? It's a good matchup at the right time of both their careers, which, you know, that's the theme of the whole show tonight. It's getting these guys in together at the right time and testing each other.
Yeah, I think that's a 50-50.
Yeah,
Mickey Bay is on that card as well. I don't know why. Mickey Bay.
Yes, he is.
Except Pacquiao.
Nah.
Again, no.
Let's move on because I know Gail is pressed for time. Let's talk about.
By the way, I got Barthelemey versus Shafikov.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, no disagreement there.
Let's move on to the HBO card. I'll just focus on 2 fights since I know you're pressed for time. Gail Lewis, Ortiz, and Bryant Jennings. Very interesting fight at heavyweights. And on the undercard, the Axeman Nicholas Walters fighting Jason Sosa. So anybody, starting with you, Gail, first, and then anybody can follow up. Your thoughts on those fights?
It's going to be a very interesting fight. You know, Ortiz was on the Golovkin-Lemieux undercard, and as you may remember, he absolutely floored, cold cock, whatever you want to call it, flattened this big sort of Pillsbury Doughboy Argentinian heavyweight opponent. I mean, it was brutal. Yes. Would you like to simulate there, Daniel, for us again? You want to assume the position? Yeah, it was something like that. And having been in the Garden to see it, oh my God, it was just one of those wicked one shot, one kill, lights out, boom, boom, out go the lights punch. So, was that an anomaly? Is that something Ortiz can do whenever he damn well feels like it? I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Jennings, but I think he's going to be much tougher against Jennings than he thinks. This is going to be a very interesting fight, and we may have one more shakeup in the heavyweight division again on Saturday. Ortiz is I think, going to be a surprise. That's going to be my upset call of the week. Walters is a big work fight. That's fine. I'll look forward to seeing Walters, but he's not going to have any challenge.
Dennis is going to sleep, man. He's going to sleep. You must have bring a pillow for him. Ortiz is going to put him to sleep and put him to rest. That Ortiz is a dangerous
He's a dangerous son of a bitch, man. That punch. You know, I don't care if, and I'm trying to think of Vedando was the opponent's name. Vedando didn't have the skills, but you have still got to punch a guy exactly at the right time in the right way, with perfect placement to put someone down on the canvas the way he did. And Vedando is one big dude. Yep. And man, it was stunning. It really was stunning to see that. So I think Bryant should be very afraid.
Yeah. I mean, his boxing skills is gonna make it hard for Ortiz to land. But that Cuban style of boxing is so well schooled. He knows how to keep people at thick and keep you at his range. And when you least expect it, he'll land that big Was he a southpaw? Is it awful? Southpaw?
Southpaw.
Southpaw.
Yes,
Like,
he is. Yeah.
I expect to knock out Latif Karachi.
I think so. You know, and Michael will appreciate this. You know, watching Ortiz and thinking about all the Cuban great amateurs that really never got to rise to the professional ranks. It makes me regret that we never got to see Teofilo Stevenson come into the professional ranks at the time that he was active in Cuba. But maybe Ortiz can be the second coming of Stevenson. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on.
I just want to say, though, that range has everything to do with this fight. Ortiz is very effective at a certain range. You take it away from him, could be interesting. That's all I got to say.
That's a very good point, because Ortiz still has to hit the target to bring him down. So if Bryant can make sure that he isn't the target.
I mean, he does, though. When you get too close to him, when he did to Latif, he pushes you back into his range. So he's very.
He doesn't have a very effective inside game, and Brian Jennings can fight on the inside. So watch out now.
Who you picked? Who have you picked?
It's a 50-50, but I favor Jennings.
I'm taking Jennings.
Yeah, hey, bro. Hey, whoever you pick is not wrong, but we're gonna find out. It's a good fight.
EJ, you and me, we're going out on a limb this week.
We know. I'm very comfortable in this league right here. I'm very comfortable. Power always dictate me. When someone's got power to finish a fight, I'm always going to ride with that dude right there.
The thing I will say, we will move on. Under 6, I'm going with Ortiz by knockout, but if it goes late decision, I'm going with Jennings. I just think that Jennings, because he can fight inside, because he's a little bit smoother, in my opinion, I just think he has the ability to wear Ortiz down. Ortiz doesn't catch him early, so that's my decision. If it's under 6, Ortiz by KO, but if it goes beyond that, I wonder about his stamina, and I think Jennings will beat him by decision.
You're on the fence. You see, Mike was covering all the bases like baseball.
No, I'm like, what you need? I'm 50-50. That's why I say either or.
He picked Jennings. What do you pick Jennings? Who you got? One or the other?
I can't.
See, that's what you trying to say, Michael. Michael don't want to be no crow. Michael was smart trying to eat no crow. Look, he's going to knock him out, and it doesn't matter how in 12 rounds. He doesn't get weaker as the rounds get. If anything, he gets stronger. The fight, Jennings is going to get his ass whooped. That's that. Let's move on.
Well,
just say he's going to get his beating, man. Like he can't crack an egg. What's he going to do, man? The guy can seriously hit, man, and he's not slow with it. He's very deceitful with his punches. He's going to left hook dangerous, jabs dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just over. Like it doesn't matter. 12. He doesn't know how long it takes. Jennings is going to get beaten up. They're probably going to throw the corner and just say, no. No mass. That's what's going to happen.
We will see.
Yeah, I'm with EJ and Gil on that one when it comes down to it, because Ortiz, like I said, Ortiz has both a great amateur background and B, great knockout power. So it may be just what he's looking for. And remember, they tried to make this fight for the Triple G undercard. So Jennings has at least...
Right.
Jennings has been in Ortiz's mind a little bit.
Yeah, Verdando was a sort of a, fill-in opponent. Ortiz has only gone past the 4th round once in the last 5 years.
And that's Cuban boxing, amateur programs like that too.
Right. That's why I say I have to see it.
Yeah, I gotta see
Ortiz go some rounds.
Had a lot of early KOs though. Round 1, round 2, round 4, round 2, round 4.
But that's against opponents not like Brian Jennings.
Right.
No.
This is going to be interesting.
True. But, we'll see what happens.
As far as Walters, I agree with Gail. I'm hearing some folks saying that Sosa could beat him. At this point, I just don't see it because I guess some stuff behind the scenes with Walters about lifestyle or whatever, I don't know. Until I know something, I just have to go with the Axeman on this. He's just a better fighter, in my opinion. I will move on.
The guy's a bigger guy, though.
Yeah, but Walters, let's just face it, he was basically a big guy too at featherweight. I mean, hell, he was coming in at 140 fighting at featherweight, basically. So, you know, come on. He's a growing boy. He's a growing boy. Let's talk about Andy Lee, Billy Joe Saunders, happening on Saturday. It's going to be aired live here on Showtime, 5 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'll just go to everybody. Well, I'll start with you, EJ, since you're over there in the UK, and then everybody can follow up. What's the vibe about that fight, and who do you have winning? We talked about it before the show began, but your thoughts on Andy Lee, Billy Joe Saunders?
No one really cares about it too much, man. Promotion's been underwhelmed by the Joshua and Whyte fight, and Grant Warren's struggling with the promotional thing. It's covering a bit, but it's not making no headways like Whyte and Joshua. But in terms of the fight, it's a middleweight, so it's a legit world championship. And I got Billy Joe Saunders. I don't like Billy Joe Saunders particularly, but I think with Andy Lee, he's just relying on his power all the time to finish his fights, but he doesn't even box. He relies on you to make mistakes, and he counters you at the end of the fight, which is good. You know, he's a very powerful guy, but if Billy Joe Saunders is definitely going to move, he's in great condition, and he'll just outbox him. Clearly, easy, 12-round decision, and just pick up the strap. It's very easy. Like Andy Lee is you know, he just doesn't go by him like he can box. Now Andy Lee, he can, but he's just slow and looks gangling. And in all these fights, he's you know, he's happy. I'm happy he got the belt, but I just can't see it. Billy Joe Saunders is just too slick for him and that. But the buzz right now, I mean, what today? Today is Friday over here. So the fight's going to be tomorrow away. It hasn't, because of the Joshua thing, people still kind of charged from that thing. But maybe the fight itself might get more of a buzz, but it's very hard to come after what Joshua and Whyte did on the weekend, so it hasn't really got that big buzz. Most people are really interested in the outcome rather than the fight itself. That's what I feel.
Gail, what you need, Daniel, Jacob, quickly?
Because it's the weekend before Christmas, so, you know, people are busy, they're out and about. I do think it's a little bit under the radar. You know, the hardcore will watch. You know, the reason that, to me, that Andy Lee makes things so interesting is because he just has this uncanny ability to pull iron out of the fire at the last minute, you know? I mean, it's not really great for his career, but great as far as pieces of entertainment, you know? I mean, he's done it not just once, but, you know, multiple times. That win against Jackson was just insane. And, you know, as long as he's on his feet, there's always that little potential with him for pulling that stuff out. I do think on paper, absolutely, Saunders is the favorite. You know, your head tells you Saunders, but then you think, damn, you know, just when you thought Andy Lee was out of a fight, he comes back not just to survive, but to win by a knockout. So you mean until the final bell sounds with him, you never know. But we'll see what happens. The outcome, you're right, you know, well spoken there. The outcome is the interesting thing because of what's in play in the middleweight division. You know, the winner is going to get some decent opponent. So, you know, there's a lot of motivation there.
So look, man, I'll just, before everybody go on, look, Saunders may be the technically better fighter, but I'm pushing for Lee just because if Lee wins, I know there's a greater chance of him fighting the Daniel Jacobs and Golovkins of the world. I believe if Saunders wins, he'll hold on to the belt in the queue in the UK. And won't fight these guys. He'll probably end up fighting Eubank Jr. again in the rematch before he fights the top dogs. Yeah. And anybody can continue on, everybody.
Yeah,
you're right. That's what he's right. You're right. What you said there is right on the money. That's Saunders in a nutshell. He's a dodgy dude he is. And I hope so. Andy knocks him out.
What did you call him? You call him a dodgy dude?
In spite of his big talk, if he was a win, he's not gonna fight nobody.
Yeah.
Nah, he's dodgy. That's what he is. That's what he does. He's a shyster, man. He just can hold the belt and just run away and just fight Eubank, and this is what he does, man. I know Andy knocks him, but I know already that Andy, if you think about what Gail said, it was absolutely right before anyone jumped in. Andy is always down. He's down on the scorecards. He'd be losing the fight, and wham, knock you out, make a mistake, and then put you on your back. But this is my point. He's always losing the scorecard, so you just need someone to maintain it, keep it going. Jimmy James will have Billy Joe Saunders under rules that we don't want to take no risks. We just want to keep boxing. We want to keep messing around with Andy Lee, keep the moving target, jabbing. The Chris Eubank Jr. Same thing. So I see it that way. So someone else can try.
I'm gonna say something about Billy Joe Saunders though. Y'all gonna see how tough that kid is, because he's a tough kid. Andy Lee will land that right hook. He will land that right hook on him. He will. I guarantee you that, because Andy Lee, he's tricky and he does set traps, and he's long and rangy. But I'm telling you, Saunders gonna take it, and he's gonna handle it. But I do see Saunders outboxing him. I do see Saunders outboxing him. This is gonna be a good fight for Saunders.
Well, I'll be happy to watch it during happy hour in the West Coast.
Quickly, Jacob, Daniel, your thoughts?
It's a good fight. It's actually, I'm pretty much in agreement with everybody here. Saunders is the more technical boxer, but Andy Lee has shown me enough to never count him out. He only needs to land that right hook once at the right angle, and it's over. That's what makes this interesting. You can never count out Andy Lee, and except Victor Saunders, just like I said, mentioned, he's a tough kid. He could probably take the punch, but we're gonna have to wait and see. It's gonna be an interesting fight because it's true. There's a lot of implications coming in regarding the winner. If Andy Lee wins, like I said, he will face a Triple G. He will face a Jacobs. And people were not really so sure about Joe Saunders. I think almost everybody here doing DJ who's closer to the scene than us pretty much just said he ain't doing it. So I'm kind of hoping Andy Lee wins this out because I actually want the middleweight division unified for once.
Jacob? Unmute your mic, Jacob, if you're still around.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this fight is that I don't know if Lee has gone to the well too many times. He was badly hurt against Quillen, and Quillen blew it by not going for the kill and just being cautious. And I think, I don't know, I mean, I like the kid. Everybody wants him to win because we know he's not afraid of anybody. He'll fight Triple G, he'll fight Jacobs. But I'm going with Lee, but I wouldn't be surprised if Saunders pulled it out.
Yeah, Saunders is slick, man. Lee has that range, but Saunders is going to neutralize that jab and the southpaws. He's both southpaws, so it should be interesting when Saunders starts to get on the inside. 50-50 in the sense that Lee could change it with, a punch or so, but that's pretty much a Saunders fight.
Yeah, and I think on that note, we're going to finally close the show down. This was a super long show. I'm going to go around the table here on the final episode of 2015. Ladies first, starting with Gail for folks who want to talk boxing, Game of Thrones, Empire, whatever. For folks who want to talk with boxing
Star
with
Wars,
you, let the folks know where they can find you.
It's all there. You can find me at Digital Native News site, Communities Digital News, which is COM, C-O-M-M, Digi, D-I-G-I News, COM Digi News. My handles all over the interwebs. It generally goes as PR Pro San Diego, my skills that pay the bills.
My British UK homie, EJ Boxing Live, for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, Game of Thrones, basketball, for folks who want to talk all that with you, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yeah, EJ Boxing Live, catch me on YouTube, you catch me on Twitter, and yeah, you can catch me in there. I've uploaded some fights, yeah, you guys want to check. Just done the Roy Jones versus the Dennis Leatherbeard fight. I've just done the 10 round on that. And also just done Gabriel Jones versus Dennis Leatherbeard with me, Boxing Beats and Rhymes, and Jay Bills and that. We was all in there talking that fight. Our commentary is sick. If you want to have some fun time, this is our commentary. Yo, check that out. So all three of them are being uploaded right now. And yeah, I've got some other fights I've been doing some commentaries. So I got links to them on my channel, so you can just check them out, man.
If you do anything this weekend, hit me up.
What do you mean on what commentary?
Yeah.
If you do anything this weekend, hit me up. It don't matter. Just let me know what fight you talk about. Let me know what fight you talk about. I'll probably see it.
He's just in.
My commentary, It's very easy how I do it, I just do it on YouTube and we just talk over like we're talking now. and now let's record it, and that's how the fight. That's how I do the commentary.
Okay. Just let me know what. Just give me a selection of fights, and I'll just let you know.
All
right. Join us live from Trinidad. What you need for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can find you and promote your series that you're doing right now.
Yeah, man, I'm What You Need. You see it right there. WATTUNEED. There you go. What you need. We got so much stuff there. We're like a funnel. What we basically do now is we work with a number of channels on YouTube that teach boxing, and then we work with, of course, Michael, and we work with Pound for Pound Boxing Report. We work with Gail Falkenthal. We work now with also my brother Daniel. All right, and of course, EJ Boxing Live. You know, I give him a shout out every now and then on my channel. I still need to know the links for Jacob, and then I'll work with you guys. All right, so some of the stuff that you'll find on there, you know, we have a little playlist on learning boxing, hangouts like this one, Boxing 101, where we just talk like superficial stuff that fans may not know about in boxing. And we got boxers that are not talked about series, you know. We setting the record straight and so many others. Boxing and health, you know, different aspects of boxing. Even stories from boxers themselves. We have all of that. You can find out about how sanctioning bodies work, the different world champions, what it takes to become a world champion, pound for pound, you know, and just a number of other things. Of course, the series that I was supposed to complete this year that I have not completed is Floyd Mayweather TBE. And, of course, Roberto Duran versus Jose Luis Castillo. That series also is coming up. It's basically a 5-video series, and I've gotten through with three of the 5 videos that I was trying to make, but it takes a long time to just kind of edit. So that's the part that's taking me forever right now to get it right. But I also link up with all the other people some people on Facebook as well. So yeah, check us out, man. We just like to try and help highlight certain things in boxing that a lot of fight fans might know too much about.
Absolutely. Jacob Rivera.
on Facebook? You on Facebook?
Me? Yeah, I'm on Facebook. My name is Anson Phillips, so you can find me on Facebook. Yeah.
Hey, put it in the chat and I'll find you in there. Thanks, yeah.
Okay.
Put it in the chat. All right, cool.
All right. Jacob Rivera from the West Coast. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yeah. First thing first, thanks, Michael, for having me on the show. I really had a lot of fun this show. I think we talked about a lot of good stuff and had a lot of back and forth. And I wanted to give props to EJ. I think that guy's he's funny and he's entertaining and he's doing good things on his channel. So check him out. Daniel, I've been listening to your show, and good stuff there. And I'm gonna check out what you need. I'm gonna check out your stuff. And then Gail, I follow you on Twitter, so I think we go back and forth, and you come to the local fights. But one thing I know we didn't get to it today, but I did go to the Glendale Civic Auditorium and see the fight between the IBF mandatory eliminator Sullivan Barrera versus Caro Morao. And so it was a good night of boxing there. I think it was on HBO Latino, but
Cuban fighter.
Yes, Cuban fighter. Yeah, but it was a good night of boxing, and I try to hit all the local shows. So you'll always see me at the local shows, the big ones. I'll be at the Guerrero Garcia fight. In Staples. I think Gail's going there, but I can be found on Twitter. And my handle is JRATM23, and I also have a boxing website, jabhookboxing.com, and yeah, that's it.
Cool.
And last but not least, Daniel joined us from NY. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know we can hit you up and do a little bit of promotion about your show that's on SoundCloud.
I'm not a problem, man. Like I said, you can find me on Twitter at Raucus99. As I said, talk boxing, talk NBA. Like I said, my latest article was on this. Was in a little bit of a rumor mill between the Heat and Hassan Whiteside trades coming into it. But I do a show, like I said, same format as you guys, almost every Sunday with the folks at For Boxing News. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna be doing an end of the year show coming up this Sunday. We're gonna be breaking down like the fights of the year, the surprise of the year, disappointment of the year, while talking about current events like the one just happened right now. It's gonna be Brazil Mansour in the Wilder undercard.
That's right.
Mm.
That'd be good stuff too. That's a good fight too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know that. I should have known that, but I
I
did.
favor Mansour on that one.
That's right.
I figured Mansour too. I think just thinking about it just offhand, Mansour may knock him out.
Yep.
Yep.
Mansour may knock him out. Just thinking offhand. We'll talk about that as the fight go along. If you want to follow me, you know what it is on Twitter, Brother JR at Brother JR76. If you want to find me there and talk boxing or anything else that I'm running my mouth about elections and talking about Ben Carson and Donald Trump, trolling them.
He's an equal opportunity troller, by the way. When it comes to politics. If you're ignorant, he's gonna come after you.
I'm just saying to me, Ben Carson to me, hey, the Pooey-Tang of the GOP candidates. I'm just saying. But if you want to find out about if you want to find all things pound for pound boxing and reporting, where you can find it all over social media, all over the interwebs, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com is the link. Just look to the right of the blog page. You'll find links to find us all over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, G+, Tumblr, Pinterest board, the RSS feeds, what if artists on Stitcher Radio, Flipboard Magazine, the email address p4pboxingrpt@gmail.com. Also, we're on SoundCloud. We're new on SoundCloud, and finally, we're on iTunes, so you can check us out there. We don't have all the shows on SoundCloud and iTunes, so if you want to find other episodes, past episodes, you can still go to Podomatic. I still got the link up there as well. On the next Pound for Pound Boxing Report episode, which will be in January. I'm shooting for January 7th. We will look back at these fights with Jennings and Ortiz and Andy Lee, Billy Joe Saunders, and whatnot. And we'll also look back at some of the fights that's happening towards the end of the year, namely Naoya Inoue, who's making his return to the ring, as well as Takashi Uchiyama, who's fighting towards the end of the year as well. And we will do a 2015 recap when we come back in January. So we will talk about all those fights and maybe a preview of Wilder and Spilka. Don't know, probably. Maybe the possible return of David Hayes. So we may talk about all those fights.
How about Thurman versus Porter, man?
No official announcement, though. I hadn't heard an official announcement. So until I get that, then I will talk about it.
Tournament time.
Yeah, so I need an official announcement of that. So for Gail, for What You Need, for EJ Boxing Live, for Daniel, for Jacob, as well as Sean, who joined us earlier. I'm your host, Michael. This has been another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, Kwanzaa to everybody. We'll see you in January. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.
Peace.
Good night.
Night.